Chapter 713. After returning to the game, Lu Chen left the human territory and found a quiet lake by himself. He released all his battle pets. 4 of them had reached adulthood: Chaos, Taodai, Black Dragon, and Azure Dragon. There were also a lot of young ones. Lu Chen counted the beast cores in his hand. We have enough beast cores and special soul essences. We're just a little short on EXP. Once we return, I'll bring you to the wildlands to level up. Lu Chen opened the Personal Instance Dungeon page. The Personal Instance Dungeon's attributeless soul essence was already full, but he needed to go to the lower realm to retrieve it. I have to make a trip to the second heaven. I can't even afford the lower realm pass anymore. Lu Chen could only choose to go directly to the second heaven. After all, the third heaven required military merits. He was still a commoner and had no military merits, so he could not change his lower realm token. Directly jumping 2 levels to the heaven domain, the second heaven lower realm token's price was also 5 digits. Forget it, there's no need to rush the beast god fusion. Let's fuse the demonic god Lotus Heart first. He placed the 9 fragments of the demonic god's Lotus Heart on the fusion interface. This item did not require any other materials and could be fused directly. A golden light flashed, and a black lotus appeared in front of Lu Chen. Congratulations, you have successfully fused the demon god Lotus Heart. Lu Chen couldn't wait to open the demonic god's Lotus Heart's attribute panel. Fiend god Lotus Heart, unique, unknown quality magic treasure. The heart of the demon and god's Lotus Heart increased all 3 attributes by 50,000 points and spiritual energy by 10,000 points. The attributes were quite overpowered, but Lu Chen did not care about these attributes. The key was the special effects. Special Effect 1. Inner Demon. After entering the inner demon state, the inner demon's power will be unleashed. All attributes will be increased by 100%, attack will be increased by 100%, and the user will enter the berserk state. Attack speed and movement speed will be increased by 200%, skill casting speed will be increased by 200%, and the damage received will be increased by 500%. In the inner demon state, the physical body will be highly strengthened and the damage to the physical body will be reduced by 80%. However, in the inner demon state, the user will enter the inner demon state and lose 5% of their ability to control their thoughts every second. If they stay in this state for a long time, they will lose their nature forever. When the inner demon enters the body, after exiting the inner demon state, 1% of the ability to control thoughts will be restored every 10 minutes. You can set an upper limit for this special effect. The first special effect scared Lu Chen to the point of choking. The boost from the inner demon state was terrifying. It felt as if he had really gone crazy. All his attributes had been greatly improved. In addition, under the inner demon state, there was an effect of reducing physical damage. After the 5th celestial tier, this ability was absolutely crucial. This special effect directly reduced damage by 80%, which was extremely terrifying. However, in contrast to the many powerful abilities, there was a terrifying backlash. Damage received increased by 500%, losing 5% of his rationality every second. These 2 recoil effects were even more terrifying than the amplification effect. Losing 5% of his rationality every second meant that he could not simply enter the inner demon state for 20 seconds. The consequences of losing 30% of his rationality were already hard to predict. Moreover, when his rationality gradually decreased, it was easy to trigger a chain reaction. After losing part of his rationality, Lu Chen was likely to continue to prolong the duration of his inner demon state regardless of the consequences. It really is an extremely sharp double-edged sword. It is ridiculously strong, but the aftereffects are equally terrifying. If you use your inner demons as a last resort, you must ensure that the amount of inner demons entering your body does not exceed 20%. Fortunately, he could control the duration of this special effect. Just in case, Lu Chen first set the duration at 4 seconds. Special Effect 2, Sacred Lotus Sword Heart. Enter the Sacred Lotus Sword Heart realm from the normal form. In this realm, the sword follows the heart and is traceless. Every sword is as if the main body is personally wielding the sword to attack. Enjoy the close combat special effect and increase the imprisonment effect. Once stabbed by the Sacred Lotus Sword Heart, the enemy will enter a strong control state of imprisonment for 0.1 seconds. The Sacred Lotus Sword Heart has a total of 108 swords. The damage of each sword is the total of all types of attacks in the current state *6 plus spiritual attack *500 plus 100 points of physical damage. In this state, the opponent's sword will lose its effect. Skill duration, 3 minutes. Skill cooldown, 17, 30 to 13 days. Divine Demon Origin Cultivation Technique shortens by 5 days. Divine Demon 6 Transformations shortens by 3 days. Divine Demon Limitless Sword shortens by 2 days. Divine Demon Dual Heavenly Might shortens by 3 days. Lu Chen frowned. My poison attack and physical attack are at their strongest, around 44 million. This is 250 million. With the addition of the 500 million spiritual attack, one sword is 750 million. I can also enjoy critical hits, combo attacks, and use Fierce Tiger Descends the Mountain at the same time. Calculating it like this, if others used the Sacred Lotus Sword Heart, it would be 108 swords. If Lu Chen used this move, he could reach 1080 swords in his peak state. Forget about the damage, it was 750 billion even without critical hits. Even if it was a critical hit, it would reach 1 trillion. Considering the high-level Heaven Domain realm opponents, their defenses and resistances wouldn't be low, but it shouldn't be a problem to hit a few 100 billion. The key was the physical damage. This was the first time the skill quantified the physical damage. Looking at it now, Lu Chen still didn't know what 100 points of physical damage meant. In the high-level Heaven Domain, the physical damage would also be quantified, but I can't figure it out right now. It was a pity that such a terrifying skill could only be used once every 17 days and only for 3 minutes each time. Can't this skill refresh its cooldown? I'm not in a critical state yet, perhaps it can affect the cooldown. Thinking of this, Lu Chen used Place of Death, Dragon Blood Boil, and 3-World Reincarnation, putting the skills in a non-cooldown state. Skill cooldown, 17 days. Very good, I really can't refresh it. Lu Chen shook his head. The Demon God Lotus Heart only had 2 special effects. The 2 skills gave people a strong feeling, but they also had a large drawback. The inner demon state increased all aspects and 80% physical damage immunity. This was the first time a skill appeared to protect the body, but although the duration was too short and there was a risk of becoming a demon. According to Lu Chen's personality, he wouldn't use it if he could. The Sacred Lotus Heart's damage was explosive and it was stronger than the Spatial Spirit Energy Cannon. Other than the high damage, as long as the enemy was hit once, they could attack continuously. With 0.1 seconds of strong control, this 108 sword skill was like a seamless combo. After being hit once, there would be 107 sword attacks. If Lu Chen used it, after the enemy was hit once, there would be 1,079 sword attacks. But he could only use it once every 17 days. If he met a dense battle, he could only use it as a final trump card. The advantages and disadvantages of these 2 skills are very clear. Oh, right, let's see if there are any new special effects for the mixed demon and god cultivation method. After obtaining the new demon god set, the mixed demon and god cultivation method had a new, exclusive special effect. Exclusive special effect 3. The Demon God Lotus Heart will activate the 2nd stage of the demon state. The increase won't change, but the damage received will be reduced to an additional 100% damage. At the same time, you will lose 1% of your mind control ability every second. The Sacred Lotus Heart has been upgraded to a reserve skill. It can be used 3 times at most. When the mixed demon and god cultivation method reaches the 5th stage, the above special effect will be activated. This is good. The Demon God Lotus Heart special effect is immediately useful, Lu Chen said in surprise. Chapter 714. After equipping the demonic god's Lotus Heart, Lu Chen had another demonic god set. At this time, The sacred lotus sword heart could only be used 3 times. Looking at the 3 times sacred lotus sword heart, Lu Chen felt incomparably at ease. Let's go, I'll level up and try out the new skills. In the following time, Lu Chen completely immersed himself in the wilderness of the savage lands. Sacred lotus sword heart. After more than 1,000 slashes, a large number of monsters fell. Killed a 5-petal flower demon. Captured 1.3 billion world evolution points. Obtained 3rd promotion rank 5 fragment. Obtained 3rd promotion rank 5 evolution points. Extracted 280 pure aura points. Killed Xingyu. Recovered 2 billion world evolution points. Obtained 3rd promotion rank 7 fragment plus 8. Obtained 3rd promotion rank 7 evolution points. A large amount of experience appeared. Lu Chen had previously struggled to kill these monsters. Now, he could directly kill them in one move. Damn, isn't it a bit wasteful to use this skill to kill monsters? Let's try the inner demon and feel the feeling of entering the inner demon state. After entering the inner demon state, Lu Chen felt the blood in his body quickly flowing. He was extremely excited. This is the inner demon state. Lu Chen began to feel more and more excited. All the blood in his body rushed to his brain. Because he was losing 5% of his qi every second, Lu Chen had set the maximum duration to 4 seconds. Within these 4 seconds, he seemed to have gone crazy. His speed was as fast as lightning, his attacks were fast, and his skills were even faster. Lu Chen's eyes were bloodshot. I'll tear you all to shreds. I'll tear you all to shreds. Boss. Lu Yi looked at Lu Chen worriedly. The crazy evil child in front of her was not the boss she knew. He was too bloodthirsty. When the 4 seconds were up, Lu Chen's entire body went limp. It wasn't that his body was exhausted, but that he had spent too much energy suppressing his murderous heart. With the passage of time, Lu Chen gradually recovered. He glanced at the broken corpses around him and sat on the side, panting heavily. The inner demon state is too terrifying. I can feel myself being immersed in the ecstasy of obtaining power and the madness of killing. Boss, you were really terrifying just now. You rarely killed your opponents in the past, but in that short period of time, you seem to have changed into a different person. Lu Chen nodded. I know. The further I go, the harder it is for me to control myself. Forget it, I won't use this skill for the time being before I upgrade my mental cultivation method to the 5th level. After trying out the 2 new skills, Lu Chen decided on his future strategy. The sacred lotus sword heart would be his trump card, and he wouldn't normally use it. After all, it was a skill that could only be used once every 17 days. Using it once would cause him to feel heartache. As for the inner demon, he would have to wait until his mental cultivation technique was upgraded and the demonic god's lotus heart's special effects were strengthened before using it. In the following time, Lu Chen began to farm as usual. There were many new species here, and there was no lack of mythical beasts. In the process of leveling up, Lu Chen collected evolution materials and new bloodlines. A month later, Lu Chen had reached the maximum level of 440. He began to level up the mythical beasts, Little Green, the Alchemy Boy, and Xiaomin. Most importantly, he collected evolution materials. 3 months later, Lu Chen raised his star rank to the 3rd promotion 7 stars, and his attributes increased again. Lu Chen opened his interface. Under normal circumstances, Lu Chen's 3D average was around 1,600,000, his spiritual power 1 million, and his health 85 million. Physical attack 1,800,000, physical defense 970,000. In addition, Lu Chen changed a few bloodline talents. Now that Lu Chen had the Heaven's Eye, he didn't need the Flower Goblin's talent anymore. He changed it to the bloodline of the exotic beast Xingyu. The fastest flying speed in the air was increased to 30 meters per second. When flying, he could use Shadow Impact to increase his movement speed by 300% and gain the ability to become invisible. Fuck my beak. Lu Chen touched the beak he spat out and almost collapsed. Why did he inherit this feature? In addition to Xingyu's flying enhancement bloodline, Lu Chen also fused with the bloodlines of the Wind-Eye Bear and the Dark-Armored Pangolin. The Wind-Eye Bear had the Fear Strike talent, which was an active stun skill. Its attacks had wind element damage, while the dark armored pangolin had the earth walking talent and earth element resistance. These two bloodlines replaced the poisonous spider bloodline and the snake group bloodline. Now, his poison damage of a few million was not enough. Ah, my two poisons. They've been with me since the beginning. They've always been very useful. However, the replaced talents could be stored. There was no need to throw them away completely. If he needed them in the future, he could replace them in advance before the battle. It would just cost him some reputation points. Anyway, Lu Chen had a lot of those things now. There were also some exotic beasts in the wild areas of the wildlands, but they were very rare. They were like rare bosses. Lu Chen killed some exotic beasts and divine beasts, but it was far from the requirement of killing 1,000 of them. For the time being, he would wait until he killed the same kind of beasts in the future. At present, other than the Barbarian Bull and Xingyu bloodlines, the other bloodlines could no longer be upgraded. It seemed that they could only be upgraded to the second or third grade at most. He could only wait for a similar replacement in the future. After fusing with the three new bloodlines, Lu Chen's appearance underwent a huge change again. The pair of fox ears on his head and the fox tail behind him were still there. These two were fine, but the huge beak on his face was about 30 centimeters long, which greatly affected his vision. If the beak was still bearable, then his left arm directly turned into a bear's paw was really unbearable. Damn, you're just a wind-eyed giant bear. What right do you have to directly occupy my arm? Lu Chen was speechless. His back was still a little hunched, and his entire back had become a smooth arc covered with dense scales. This should be the change brought about by the dark-armored pangolin bloodline. Lu Chen looked pitifully at Louis. Fortunately, he met Louis. If he couldn't smelt with his previous appearance, and with a bunch of new characteristics, what would he become? Little Green, I'm counting on you. Make me look better, Wawa. Lu Chen opened his beak and spoke in human language. Damn, why did I say Wawa? I only have a beak, I'm not a birdman. Louis held back her laughter. Boss, I'll try my best, but the smelting process is random. I can't guarantee that it will look better than now. Lu Chen's face was full of despair. At least make this beak disappear for me, or else I'll go crazy. What? Damn, you're still doing it. What? Lu Chen wished he could tear this beak off right now. Little Green, hurry up and smelt with all your might. Don't pity me. What? Why, your sister. Lu Chen took the initiative to jump into Louis's furnace. Louis put in a lot of herbs and started a fire. Boss, I'm going to start. This time, the smelting process was especially long. It took a few hours to complete. Maybe it was because the bloodline of the wild beasts here was higher. When the lid was opened, steam came out from inside. Xiaomin covered her mouth and said in horror, Sister Lu, boss won't be cooked, right? The medicine boy was also paying attention to the furnace. It was the first time he saw Lu Chen change his appearance, so he was even more curious. I can smell the fragrance of meat. I'm afraid not only is it cooked, it might even be burnt. Lu Yi shook her head. Impossible, boss will definitely be able to withstand it. Boss, are you there? Here. A voice came from inside. Chapter 7:15. A white figure emerged from the medicine cauldron. At this moment, Lu Chen no longer looked like the evil child from before. The Lu Chen standing in front of Louis and the others had exquisite facial features. He was about 1.9 meters tall and had a well-proportioned body. His short white hair fluttered in the wind. His skin was snow-white and delicate, and his white eyebrows were slanted to his temples. His face was resolute. His pair of dark red eyes made him look a little demonic with a hint of coldness. His foxtail was gone, leaving only a pair of fox ears. It seemed that Louis had always been fond of this pair of ears and had been trying her best to keep them for Lu Chen. Louis and Xiaomin were stunned. At first glance, Lu Chen's current strength might not be heaven-defying, but his looks were definitely heaven-defying. Haha, I'm finally handsome for once. Lu Chen spoiled his demeanor as the demon prince the moment he opened his mouth. With my current looks, even that brat Gufei has to admit defeat. Lu Chen was bursting with confidence. He was handsome and elegant now. Most importantly, His demonic style was full of exotic charm and would definitely arouse people's curiosity. Boss, can you not talk? That feeling was pretty good just now. Once you talk, you collapse. Xiaomin shook her head. No matter what Lu Chen looked like, he was still the boss she was familiar with. Lu Chen felt comfortable all over. After coming to Jiutian for so long, he had transformed into strange things several times. This time, he was the closest to a human form. Although he did not look exactly like a human, according to human aesthetics, he was still handsome. Little Green, can't you take off my ears too? They don't feel domineering enough. No, no. Xiaomin hurriedly said. Boss, I like your furry ears. They're so cute. Lu Chen frowned slightly. He was clearly a straight man. Why did he have to be cute? Strange, Kuang, what bloodline did you inherit your current form from? How did you become so handsome all of a sudden? The apprentice asked. Louis thought for a moment and said, I think boss might have obtained the gene for albinism. Look at his white hair and eyebrows. It's like the albinism of all living creatures, but it shouldn't affect his strength. Lu Chen didn't care too much. Anyway, he was very satisfied with his new image. Now, he could even travel around Jiutian in this form. Lu Chen's level was already maxed out, and there wasn't much to play with in the wild monsters nearby. Lu Chen caught 40 rare beasts and became a member of the army. He returned to the Celestial Pinnacle sect and exchanged for a lower world token. After returning to the Spirit Gathering Mountain in the second heaven, Lu Chen saw Er Shan, 3 idiots, 8 heads, 10 tigers and other subordinates whom he had not seen for a few years. Over the years, their levels had already been maxed out, but Lu Chen didn't come to pick them up, so they just stayed here and cultivated their spiritual power. Seeing these original comrades again, Lu Chen felt a little emotional. He even thought of the 3 idiots, the 3 gnolls who died in battle. That was also the first time he felt that he couldn't protect everyone. Unfortunately, Lu Chen was in the 3rd heaven and the 4th heaven. He couldn't find a suitable place to settle the army. He didn't even have any military merits in the 3rd heaven, so he couldn't directly enter. If he randomly placed them in the wilderness of the 4th heaven, even if there were 40 high-level beasts, they still wouldn't be able to protect themselves there. There are still many people on Earth in the 2nd heaven. The number of times to clear the personal dungeon is full every day, and you can also collect attributeless soul essences. You guys should stay in the 2nd heaven for now, Lu Chen said to Er Shan and Er Shan. How about this, I'll raise the level of the army first, then raise the level of the personal dungeon. When there's a suitable opportunity in the future, I'll bring you guys to a higher heaven region. Lu Chen noticed that the 40 beasts were restricted to level 100 after returning to the 2nd heaven. Their strength was greatly reduced. This was probably the result of them not having a lower world token. However, Lu Chen didn't expect them to fight. His main goal was to expand the number of people in the army. Now that his army had 90 monsters, Lu Chen could raise the army to a level 7 army in one go. A new building appeared in the army. Temple of Demons? Lu Chen looked at the description of the new building strangely. This was a new building that appeared in the level 5 army. Its function was to obtain a percentage of Lu Chen's Heaven's Wrath ability. It could ignore distance and respond to Lu Chen's Heaven's Wrath. In the level 1 Temple of Demons, the monsters enjoyed the 10% bonus effect of Lu Chen's Heaven's Wrath. Now that Lu Chen's level was 4 times the normal level, all the army members could also break through the upper limit of 24%. The level limit in the 2nd heaven broke through 100 and reached level 124. On the other hand, when Lu Chen used Divine Might and Demonic Might, even if there wasn't a single monster in his current map, the army members in the 2nd heaven could respond to his Heaven's Wrath and provide him with attributes. Damn, this is so strong. Lu Chen's eyes widened. He thought that other than the blood sacrifice shield, soul essences, and earning money wouldn't be of much use in the army. Who knew that such a function would appear? I have to level up the army properly in the future. Lu Chen exclaimed. When the army reached level 7, the Temple of Demons could also be upgraded to level 8. All the monsters in the army would enjoy the 30% bonus effect of Heaven's Wrath, and the level limit would be 172. Now they could level up here again. When the army reached level 7, an upgrade option appeared in the army warehouse. Not only did it increase the capacity of the warehouse, but it also had the ability to use the warehouse remotely. Lu Chen could directly obtain and store items from the heavens domain he was in. In other words, I don't have to come back to collect the soul essences in the future. Also, I can use the warehouse remotely. This is too convenient. Lu Chen couldn't help but think that if the army leveled up a few more times, it would be even more convenient if he could carry the army around with him. Unfortunately, this function hadn't appeared yet. Forget it, I can't ask for too much. Let's take it slow. The medicine boy had been inspecting the army's environment alone. When Lu Chen was almost done with his matters, he returned. I didn't expect there to be such a treasure land in the second heaven. Xiao Kuang, you've really picked up a treasure. What do you mean? Lu Chen asked curiously. The medicine boy explained, this is a natural spiritual source. It's extremely vast. I've never seen such a vast natural spiritual source anywhere else. Simply put, there must be some kind of powerful treasure under this mountain range. Lu Chen's eyes widened. Treasure? He was most interested in this. However, my suggestion is to not touch this treasure for the time being. Let it continue to provide spiritual energy for your army. Look at your army's spiritual source. It's still in a state of natural upgrading. Lu Chen nodded slightly. Indeed, after coming to the Spirit Condensation Mountain range, he no longer needed to provide spiritual energy for his spiritual source. The three armies' spiritual sources had all been upgraded to the peak of Stage 4. That was the result of their own upgrades. Also, how long do you have left with your mortal domain token? 3 days. There are a lot of things to do this time. Those sect tributes probably won't be of much use in the future, so I changed them to 3 days, Lu Chen replied. 3 days? The time difference is too long. The medicine boy calculated. Can you bring your army with you? No, but I can retrieve items remotely. That's good. In that case, I'll stay here. Anyway, it's very safe here. I'll open up a large herb garden here. The spiritual energy here is abundant, and it's most suitable for precious herbs to grow. Little Green, if you get any rare herbs, put them in the warehouse. I'll take them out and cultivate them. You can take them away after I'm done. That works? Of course, the spiritual energy here is endless. It's really too rare. I didn't know about it before, but now that I know, it's a waste if I don't make good use of it. The medicine boy said sadly. Chapter 716. Of course, it was best that the medicine boy was willing to stay. Even the humanoid monsters, such as the mountain, had limited intelligence and could only repeat Lu Chen's orders. The medicine boy was an intelligent spirit pet and could help Lu Chen manage the army. Little boy, are you sure you want to stay? Xiao Min looked at the medicine boy with some reluctance. The medicine boy touched his nose and avoided Xiao Min's gaze. He had been lonely for a long time, and now that someone was suddenly concerned about him, the medicine boy felt a little reluctant. Ahem. Well, anyway, Xiao Kuang will come and pick me up in the future. He's brainless and dares to fight even if he can't beat me. If I don't get more herbs for him, I'm afraid he'll die sooner or later. Although the medicine boy had always liked to be sharp-tongued, everyone could feel his concern for Lu Chen. He would rather stay alone, which was a sacrifice in itself. After all, what the medicine boy was most afraid of was loneliness. Lu Chen nodded. Little boy, don't worry. When I find a suitable place for the army to develop, I'll come and pick you guys up. Don't forget. I won't forget. Lu Chen smiled. You're so powerful. How could I forget? I'll come and pick you guys up as soon as possible. After being praised, the medicine boy immediately became proud. He shook his head and said, That's not unreasonable. After the army was upgraded, the division of labor within the army was further refined. Lu Chen gave the highest authority to the medicine boy and appointed him as the deputy commander. Not only did he command all the army members, but if Lu Chen gave him enough reputation, he could also capture monsters, expand the army, and upgrade the operation of the army. Of course, Lu Chen had always thought that the medicine boy did not have any combat ability. To capture army members, he had to enter the stage of subduing them by force. That was a one-on-one battle, and it was useless to have more people. However, Lu Chen did not expect the medicine boy to help him expand the army. It was already an unexpected gain to have the herb garden ready. 2 days later, when Lu Chen was about to leave the second level of heaven, he suddenly remembered something. There's still some time for the token. Come with me to a place to take a look, Lu Chen said. Are there any other spiritual sources in the second heaven? The errand boy was very interested. I don't know either. I don't think the place I'm going to is the spirit source. It's an interesting place. When I passed by that place before, I felt that something was wrong. I'll go check it out again. In the blink of an eye, Lu Chen brought the 3 of them to the Bridge of Helplessness. At the end of the Bridge of Helplessness sat an old woman whose face was filled with confusion. It was the Mengpo who collected the toll. The river of forgetfulness under the Bridge of Helplessness was faintly emitting black gas. When Mengpa saw Lu Chen, she was stunned. It's you? Lu Chen smiled. You still remember me? When Mengpa smiled, the area around her face was already twisted like the roots of a tree. Of course I remember. Over the years, the number of people willing to spend hundreds of millions of gold coins to cross the Bridge of Helplessness can be counted on my 2 hands. Which heaven did you come from? 4th level. For level. I didn't expect you to grow so quickly. Mengpa said thoughtfully. You didn't come back to see the river of forgetfulness, did you? Lu Chen nodded. Senior Mengpa, when I first crossed the river of forgetfulness, I felt that there was something unusual here. It was as if there was something hidden below. Mengpa glanced at the river of forgetfulness and said leisurely, the red spider lily blooms on the other shore. The heartbreak grass is sorrowful and heartbroken. Before the Bridge of Helplessness, before the 3 lives stone, 3 lives are decided. Young man, the number of people who have seen me twice can be counted on one hand. You and I are considered to be fated. Let me remind you. You'd better not touch the thing below now. Lu Chen's brows knitted tightly. Lu Chen still couldn't guess Mengpo's identity. She could be like Can Sheng and Old Ma from the 3rd heaven. If that was the case, her strength was far inferior to his. But she could also be like Mu Xian and the mountain people, from a higher heaven domain. With regards to Mengpo's warning, should Lu Chen listen or? Mengpo seemed to see Lu Chen's hesitation and suddenly changed the topic. Young man, there's one more thing that I thought of. It might be related to you. Related to me? Lu Chen asked curiously. Mengpo said. You should remember the rules of my toll. 1 million gold coins, you can keep the memories of the person you care about the most. 100 million gold coins, not only can you keep the memories, you can also increase your attributes. Lu Chen nodded. Of course he remembered such an expensive toll. When it comes to me, there are very few people who have 100 million gold coins on them. Even the juniors of the large powers of the high-level heaven domain are unable to support all of them. Lu Chen didn't doubt this point. So, even if you want to keep your memories, it's an astronomical figure for many people. I don't know how long I've been here. I've seen many people, but there's a girl who left a deep impression on me. Lu Chen frowned as he listened. That girl chose to forget. Forget? Didn't seniors say that most people would choose to forget? Why did she leave a deep impression on you? Mengpa laughed. There's nothing strange about her choice, but what she said left a deep impression on me. What did she say? Mengpa repeated her words. I'm sorry, I really can't gather so much money. It's impossible for my family to give me so many gold coins, so I can only choose to forget. But if he is my destined one, he will definitely appear in my world again. He will make me remember him again. He will ride the 9-winged heavenly dragon and appear in front of me. With that, Mengpa opened her wrinkled palm. There were 2 sparkling crystals inside. Lu Chen was in a daze. Only he had a 9-winged heavenly dragon. He looked at the crystal in Mengpo's palm and asked, What is this? Her tears, her memories. With that, Mengpo threw the crystal into the river of forgetfulness. Young man, I can't control your feelings, but this is the first time I've heard such words. If you want to know who she is, wait until you pass the 5th layer of heaven. Only then will you be qualified to enter the river of forgetfulness. Lu Chen stared blankly at the crystal that sank into the water. Who is she? After a long silence, Lu Chen sighed. Mengpa had made it very clear this time. He had to pass the 5th layer of heaven to have the strength to enter the river of forgetfulness. Then, his current strength might not be enough. Mengpa smiled and no longer looked at Lu Chen. She repeated those words again. The red spider lily blooms on the other shore, the heartbroken grass is sorrowful and heartbroken. Before the bridge of helplessness, before the stone of 3 lives, 3 lives. Lu Chen also knew that Mengpa had already made an exception by telling him so much. It was useless for him to ask any more questions. Thank you, senior. Lu Chen bowed deeply to Mengpa and turned to leave. Looking at Lu Chen's receding figure, Mengpo's turbid eyes looked towards the horizon. Lu Chen, are you that girl's destined one? If so, don't let that girl wait too long. She doesn't have much time left. Chapter 717. Lu Chen did not know who the girl was. Mengpa did not give him any hints, but when he thought of the girl crying for him, Lu Chen felt a little sad. Was he the person she cared about the most? The funny thing was that he was not sure who she was. Lu Lengnuo? Impossible, they all remembered him. Perhaps he would only know the answer after crossing the river of forgetfulness. The mortal realm token's time was almost up. Lu Chen sent the potion boy back to the army, looked at Big Fool and the others, and turned to leave the 2nd heaven. In front of the 4th heaven tower, a white-haired man walked towards the tower alone. The successor of Lunar Glow had not arrived yet. At this stage, only Lu Chen could enter the 5th heaven. Standing in front of the towering tower, although Lu Chen was now at the 4th heaven, when he looked up, the tower was still towering into the clouds, and he could not see the top of the tower. Just as he was about to enter the tower, a voice came from behind him. Brother Kuang. Lu Chen looked back and saw a woman in white standing in the distance. He did not tell anyone when he came to the tower. Shuang Ling actually appeared at this time. He did not know how long she had been waiting here. Shuang Ling, Lu Chen smiled at the woman in the distance. At least there was someone who came to send him off. Brother Kuang, be careful. Thousands of words were condensed into the simplest of blessings. Lu Chen nodded and shouted from afar, you too. After that, Lu Chen entered the Tong Tian Tower without looking back. The 4th heaven boss room was particularly spacious. To accommodate lunar glow and extreme yang illumination, this place must be big enough. However, at this time, the room was empty. Lu Chen could directly pass through the room and climb the stairs to the 5th floor. In front of the huge black hole, Lu Chen took a deep breath. Is everyone ready? Let's go. As soon as he stepped into the black hole portal, Lu Chen suddenly felt dizzy. After a short moment of dizziness, when Lu Chen opened his eyes, he was shocked to find that he was in his own room. Inside a villa on Earth. He could even see himself lying inside the gaming cockpit. Lu Chen was dumbfounded. Wasn't he going to the 5th heaven? Then what the hell is going on now? When a person saw himself lying in front of himself, the feeling was truly horrifying. Even though Lu Chen had been through hundreds of battles, he was still frightened. I'm not dead, am I? At this moment, a system notification appeared. Seeing the system notification, Lu Chen finally let out a sigh of relief. Seeing the system notification meant that he was not dead yet. Please do not panic. You are currently still in the 9th heaven domain. As the 5th heaven domain requires you to upgrade your gaming equipment, please operate your gaming equipment according to the system prompt. Detected that your gaming equipment is the XR41 gaming cockpit. The equipment is rather outdated, please operate with caution. Lu Chen was speechless. His equipment was probably the most advanced equipment that Tianxing could provide. It cost as much as 800,000. In order to prevent Tianxing from cutting off Lu Chen's connection again, the military had personally purchased this equipment under the military's name. In the end, it turned out to be rather outdated. Perhaps the equipment in other worlds were more advanced. Anyway, Lu Chen was sure that on Earth, his gaming cockpit was already the best. Please open the gaming cockpit and press the surface of the gaming cockpit's helmet with your right thumb. We will activate the secondary operating system according to your fingerprints. This won't affect me, right? I mean, affect me in real life? Your current operation is a virtual operation. Only the pre-installed program will respond to your actions. It will not affect your safety in real life. However, just in case, please follow the operating instructions. Lu Chen nodded. Speaking of which, his consciousness was in the Jiutian. If the Jiutian wanted to harm him, they did not have to go through so much trouble. After opening the gaming cockpit, Lu Chen pressed the smooth surface of the helmet with his right thumb. Fingerprint confirmed. A small door suddenly opened on the side of the gaming helmet. There was only one red button inside. Please activate secondary operating system. Lu Chen thought about it and finally pressed the red button. Program upgrade. Your equipment will be bound to you. If the equipment is damaged, you will only need to buy a new one and unlock secondary operating system with your fingerprints. You will be forced to go offline in 5 minutes. The system upgrade will take about 15 minutes. After the upgrade, you will directly enter the fifth heaven domain. Have a good game. The system notification ended, and Lu Chen entered the countdown to go offline. Lu Chen frowned slightly. The system needs to be upgraded? This is the first time I've encountered something like this. It was said that the fifth heaven was a qualitative change. Just from the way he logged in, it indicated that this sentence was not wrong. Now, all Lu Chen needed to do was wait patiently. After 5 minutes, he would automatically go offline. After going offline, Lu Chen opened his eyes and found that the gaming cockpit door was really open. The secondary operating system on the side of his helmet had also been activated. Damn, what a strange feeling. Lu Chen could not help but shiver. Someone had opened his gaming cockpit just now. If it was someone else, killing him would be a piece of cake. But what was more terrifying was that that person was actually himself. Another version of himself. Taking advantage of the system upgrade, Lu Chen ran to Lu Yi's room to take a look. That girl was lying in the gaming cockpit and everything was normal. I wonder what that girl is doing. 15 minutes later, Lu Chen could not wait to log into the game again. He hurried back to his room. The system upgrade had been completed. At this time, the gaming cockpit had changed from a 30-degree tilt to a completely upright state. The original glass door had become completely black, and the inside could not be seen from the outside. What the hell? Why did the appearance change? Lu Chen did not understand the difference. Don't tell me I have to stand in the future? This doesn't make sense. Opening the cockpit door, Lu Chen put on the gaming helmet like before. Your secondary operating system has been completed. When entering the game this time, we will use interstellar teleportation technology to send your body to Jiutian. We can only guarantee that there will be no accidents during the teleportation process. Do you wish to continue? Lu Chen almost vomited blood. What? Interstellar teleportation? My body entering Jiutian? Are you kidding me? The system did not answer. I'm not ready yet. Wait. Lu Chen temporarily gave up on the teleportation and took off the gaming helmet. He squatted on the ground and panted heavily. Sweat had already seeped out of his forehead. Entering the game with one's consciousness and entering the game with one's own body were two different feelings. In other words, once Lu Chen was ready, he would undergo an unprecedented interstellar teleportation. He had not yet entered the fifth heaven and had not seen what the fifth heaven was like or what kind of strong people were there. Just the login method alone was enough to make Lu Chen tremble in fear. Chapter 7:18. If it was in the past, Lu Chen might have needed to calm down for a long time. However, after countless battles in the third and fourth heavens, Lu Chen's mental fortitude had unknowingly matured. At this moment, he sat on the edge of his bed and took a deep breath to calm himself down. The login method from the brain's neuron quantum replication to the current direct teleportation marked the first qualitative change in the fifth heavens. In the fifth heavens, physical damage would become the norm. And that word would linger in his mind all of a sudden. Hey, Lu Chen, oh Lu Chen, have you forgotten the answer you're looking for? If such a login method is enough to make you cower, then how are you going to reach the peak of the 9 heavens? Lu Chen took a deep breath. Death? Have you not faced enough third heavens and fourth heavens? After going through these two celestial domains, I actually already have the ability to face a real battle. What's more, other people are also directly teleporting. If they're not afraid, why should I be afraid? After a round of self-motivation, Lu Chen stood up again and walked to the front of the game cabin. Isn't it just teleportation? This will only make the game more interesting. Lu Chen's eyes gradually revealed a look of excitement, just like when he encountered a strong enemy in the game. Unknowingly, Lu Chen had transformed from an ordinary person into a strong person. Entering the game cabin again, Lu Chen closed the cabin door and put on the game helmet. Facing the system prompt again, he did not hesitate to select Confirm. Fifth Heavens, the solipsistic, am coming. Lu Chen's game cabin's glass door had become a one-way glass. It was impossible to see inside from the outside, and no one would notice. In fact, in Lu Chen's game cabin, a silver light lit up. At this time, there was no one in the game cabin. Physical teleportation was the first prerequisite for entering the fifth heavens. After a familiar dizziness, when Lu Chen opened his eyes, he found himself in a small village. The village was currently empty, with only a few simple houses. The doors of each house were open, and daily necessities could be seen in the houses. It was obvious that there were people living here, but there was no one around. Lu Chen touched his body. Speaking of which, it was quite strange. Lu Chen really couldn't tell if his body was in the game or in real life. The only difference was probably his attire. Lu Chen was now wearing his own red wild blood sword god outfit, not the big pants and vest that he wore at home. Is this the fifth layer of heaven? Where are the villagers? Lu Chen was puzzled. However, he still had a lot of questions, so he decided to start from the ones that could be solved. Right, what about my attributes? Should I use my physical attributes or the attributes in the game? Lu Chen opened his personal attribute panel. When he looked at the attributes, he almost collapsed. The 2 million points were all gone. Right now, his value was so low that it made one's hair stand on end. Physical attributes: Strength 1133, Agility 1142, Physique 1151. True Nuclear Spiritual Pill, Mixed Spiritual Pill Spiritual Power 1100. From the data, these attributes should be Lu Chen's physical attributes. He had used a lot of reality extraction scrolls, which was why his attributes were so high. Looking at his skills and bloodline, they were all gone. Fuck, what the hell? Lu Chen exclaimed. I worked so hard to level up, increase my stars, and get equipment, but my stats are all gone? Just as Lu Chen was about to curse, he found that he had a new function page. Battle Soul Attribute Panel? Lu Chen opened the panel. In this panel, the solipsistic Battle Soul attribute appeared, including the extremely long name and exaggerated attributes. They were all there. At this moment, the system's explanation was displayed. The fifth layer of heaven is the beginning of the real Jutian. Everyone has the opportunity to embark on the real path of cultivation. Please absorb your Battle Soul's strength. You will inherit all the Battle Soul's attributes, equipment, and other attributes. Lu Chen heaved a sigh of relief and quickly chose to inherit the Battle Soul's attributes. This thing could not be lost. It was not easy for him to upgrade it. However, after absorbing the attributes, Lu Chen found that he had indeed mastered all the Battle Soul's skills, bloodline, and equipment, but he did not inherit the Battle Soul's attributes. What's going on? Where are my million attribute points? Lu Chen was a little flustered. Battle Soul absorption completed. You will obtain a new ability, Soul Body Fusion. When in the state of Soul Body Fusion, your attributes will be synchronized with the Battle Soul. Soul Body Fusion is limited to 10 minutes per day. The maximum cumulative time is 60 minutes. If you do not use Soul Body Fusion on that day, 10 minutes of Soul Body Fusion time will be restored. This skill is available to all servers and cannot be affected by any other skills. Fuck, 10 minutes per day? That's not the Soul Body Fusion state. Doesn't that mean all my attributes are trash? Lu Chen frowned. This fifth heaven was too much of a qualitative change. The change was so big that Lu Chen found it hard to accept. Friendly system reminder: The higher the heaven domain, the shorter the duration of soul-body fusion. It is recommended that you increase your physical strength first. Only with a strong physical body can you go further. This system reminder will be the last AI reminder of the built-in system. After this, the system will only retain basic functions such as item identification and map display. The real game has begun. Welcome to the 9th heaven domain. Finally, the system wishes you a happy game. Lu Chen was stunned for a long time before he reacted. Embark on the real path of cultivation? Lu Chen pondered over this sentence. So Mu Xian and the others were real itinerant immortals? Jiutian finally revealed its true face in the 5th heaven. This was indeed a Xianxia-themed online game. However, it was so real that players could cultivate, and the network was extended to the entire universe. The system reminder had already disappeared. Lu Chen took a deep breath and began to analyze his current situation. First, he looked at the soul-body fusion state. Currently, his cumulative usage time was 10 minutes. If I encounter danger, I should be able to escape within 10 minutes. Lu Chen muttered to himself. With his current attributes, he was confident in this. Thinking of this, Lu Chen's nervous mood relaxed a little. If I don't use soul-body fusion for 6 days, then I can get an hour of time. I can handle most of the battles. If all the players in the server are like this, then I don't have to be nervous. Lu Chen calmed down. My attributes shouldn't be low. After all, not everyone can exchange for so many reality extraction scrolls. However, I can't be completely sure. After all, there are some races in the 5th heaven. Their advantages can be truly extracted. If I don't use soul-body fusion, I'm afraid I won't be a match for them. Fortunately, I have the celestial demon fusion cultivation technique and bloodline talent. Even if it's my own growth speed, it won't be slower than others. Thinking of this, Lu Chen finally calmed down completely. The 5th heaven was indeed not a joke. Not only did he have to teleport his own body in, but after the battle soul restriction, even for Lu Chen, danger lurked everywhere. You call the 5th heaven a real game? Lu Chen's lips curled up. Very good. You're playing big, right? Interesting. Chapter 719. Currently, Lu Chen had his previous skills and equipment, but his attributes had become his own. Lu Chen tried to summon Little Green, Xiaomin, Furball, and Rhubarb, and sure enough, all 4 of them came out. Boss, have we reached the 5th level of heaven? Lu Chen nodded. Yes, here it is, but the changes are a bit big. Let me take a look at your attributes first. Little Green and the rest's attributes had already been reduced to 0. Now, Shi and Xiaomin existed in the Battle Soul form. On the 2's attribute panel, there was an option to activate Battle Soul form. Currently, the option was grayed out. The description said that after activating the Battle Soul form, Xiaomin and Little Green's attributes would be restored. However, only Lu Chen could activate his own Battle Soul form to activate this state. Lu Chen immediately checked his mythical beast battle pets, and they were all in the same situation. Lu Chen completely understood that the 5th level of heaven divided his strength into 2 parts. His own body's strength, which was Lu Chen's own attributes. When he didn't activate soul form as one, he was a real person. The skills he had learned before could still be used, but the power would be sharply reduced after the attributes were lowered. The battle soul's strength was the accumulated strength before the 5th level of heaven. This part of the strength was still effective, but now there was a time limit. One thing to note was that the equipment's attributes could now only be added to the battle soul's attributes. After obtaining an excellent equipment, the body would only obtain the equipment skills. What was surprising was that Furball and Rhubarb's situation was different from the other battle pets. Furball and Rhubarb had their own independent soul form as one skill. Damn, you two actually didn't use soul form as one with me? Lu Chen's eyes were full of shock. Forget about Furball. Old Yao had said that it was a heaven-swallowing rat that had the power to destroy heaven and earth. It shouldn't exist in the Jiutian, so it wasn't strange for it to have some strange phenomena. But what the hell was Rhubarb? Its 3 attributes were all 5, and its spiritual power attribute had reached an astonishing 0. This guy with a battle strength of 5 trash actually had his own soul-body fusion? Rhubarb was sticking out its tongue and wagging its tail as it looked happily at Lu Chen. It looked a little silly. Rhubarb, what secrets are you hiding from me? Lu Chen stroked Rhubarb's head. Don't you only know how to find treasures? Woof woof woof. You know how to fight? Fight? Lu Chen's face was full of disbelief. If I let you fight, wouldn't Mu Xian's spirit in heaven strike me to death? Lu Chen shook his head. At this stage, it was impossible for him to let Rhubarb fight. However, the little furball was still very powerful. If it had an independent soul-body fusion time, then Lu Chen would have an extra 10 minutes of soul-body fusion time. Even if he used up his soul-body fusion time, the little furball could still use it. Little guy, you're very strong. Lu Chen held the little furball in his palm and gently patted its little head. I'm really curious to see how strong you will be in the future. The little furball brought another piece of good news. It was equivalent to Lu Chen having twice the amount of soul-body fusion time compared to others. Since he was already here, Lu Chen calmed down and observed his surroundings. This was an ordinary little village. There were straw houses and tiled houses. The doors of the houses were wide open, and he could see that the daily necessities inside were very traditional. There were no electrical appliances. It feels a bit like an ancient village. Lu Chen frowned slightly. Strange, the doors are wide open. Where did the people go? Not long after, 100 or so people came back from outside the village. These people were all from the human race. There were men, women, old, and young. Lu Chen was a bit puzzled. Could it be that these people came from the 4th layer of heaven? But why were there children? Some of the children were only 3 or 4 years old. Their bodies were dirty, and they were wiping their snot. If they were also experts recognized by the extreme nether glow, Lu Chen would probably collapse. Behind these people, there was a large group of people carrying simple stretchers. On the stretchers lay 30 to 40 people. Although the villagers had already treated their injuries, the bandages were still covered in blood. Some of them were missing limbs, and some of them were lying motionless on the stretchers. It was unknown whether they were dead or alive. What's going on? Lu Chen was a bit confused. When they saw Lu Chen, they immediately surrounded him. Who are you? Why are you in our village? Lu Chen blinked his eyes. This question was very deadly. Why was he in the village? Was he teleported here by interstellar transportation? And from the 4th layer of heaven? Cough cough this cough cough. I am just passing by. Lu Chen forced himself to make up an excuse. Passing by? You're dressed so flirtatiously, and you came to our village while we were hunting dragons. I think you're a rapist. A villager said angrily. Lu Chen glanced at the women in the village. They were quite down to earth. I think you've misunderstood. I'm really not a rapist. Misunderstood? Then how can you prove that you're not? How can I prove that I'm not? How can I fucking prove that I'm not? I didn't do anything. You can insult my appearance, but you can't insult my character. Lu Chen shook his head. Uncles and aunties, I didn't steal anything, and I didn't steal anyone. I didn't do anything. Why are you saying that I'm a bad person? The villagers looked at each other. This guy seemed to have a point. When there was no one in the village, he was just standing here. He didn't have anything in his hands that didn't belong to him. Lu Chen saw that the emotions on their faces had calmed down. It seemed that they were quite simple and ordinary people. I'm really just passing by. It's my first time here, so I'm not familiar with this place. If I've offended you, please forgive me. Seeing that this young man spoke politely, the villagers finally let down their psychological guard. You're a foreigner. How did you come to our place? To be honest, I came here by accident. Lu Chen thought about it and asked, Excuse me, you said that you were going to hunt a dragon. What did that mean? A dark-skinned strong man said, You don't even know about hunting a dragon? You look like you're from a wealthy family. It's not surprising that you don't know. We need to go to the nearby Crouching Dragon Mountain to hunt demons. Then, we'll take the demon materials to the nearby county to sell in exchange for survival items for the village. Lu Chen asked curiously, Then what about the demons that you've hunted? Sigh. The dragon species we encountered this time was too strong. We suffered heavy casualties. It's good enough that we managed to escape. Speaking of this dragon hunt, many villagers sighed. Sigh. There's no extra food in the village. I don't know if we can survive this winter. My family's Juzi is gone this time. How are we going to survive if we're left behind? Huzi's mother, don't cry. Everyone has food to eat. We definitely won't let you and your mother starve. An old man said. Huzi's mother shook her head while crying. Village chief, there's no extra food in the village. Today, the immortals are coming to collect rent. We don't have enough food. We're going to be punished again. This winter, we can only eat wild vegetables and tree bark. Lu Chen frowned as he listened by the side. Without a doubt, this group of people did not come from the fourth layer of heaven. They were probably ordinary people living in this world. The immortals are coming to collect rent? Lu Chen asked curiously. The village chief shook his head. They're not here to collect rent. They're here to collect lives. Chapter 720. If he guessed correctly, then the so-called immortals could be cultivators, or even those who came from the fourth layer of heaven. However, Lu Chen was flabbergasted when he heard that the immortals were here to claim their lives. Originally, Lu Chen thought that the fifth layer of heaven was a world where the fourth layer of heaven experts fought for hegemony. He did not expect that it would involve ordinary people as well. Even ordinary people were not spared. One could imagine how cruel the fifth layer of heaven was. During this dragon hunt, more than 20 people died in the village. They were all young and strong laborers. The villagers were burying the dead when a child hurriedly ran over from the village entrance. The immortals are here. The little boy shouted anxiously. They will definitely come. I just did not expect them to come so quickly. The village chief was so anxious that sweat was already seeping out of his forehead. Not long later, 7 or 8 men and women wearing white robes with outstanding temperaments had already entered the village. These people had their chins slightly raised, looking high and mighty. Just as they walked in front of the crowd, the leading man in white robes said arrogantly, "Hurry up and pay this month's grain rent." The village chief did not dare to look directly at the immortal. He trembled as he said, reporting to the immortal, We did not gather enough grain rent, but we went to hunt a dragon. We are thinking of a way." Hunt a dragon? What about the dragon species? This time we encountered a rank 1 earth dragon. It was too difficult to deal with. 24 people in the village have already died. So, you did not gather enough grain rent and did not hunt a dragon species? The immortal's tone was cold. His calm tone made the village chief sweat profusely. He stuttered as he said, reporting to the immortal, "We really, less nonsense. I will ask again. Did you not gather enough grain rent? Answer me yes or no." The village chief had a stomach full of words, but he could only forcefully swallow them back. He lowered his head and answered, "Yes, and that's easy. How much is less? Pay with your life." "Mortal," the village chief said anxiously. A trace of coldness flashed across the man's eyes. In a flash, he was in front of the village chief. With a slap, he sent the village chief flying. The old man crashed into the wall of a house far away, causing it to collapse. Village chief. A few villagers hurriedly ran over and dragged the village chief out of the rubble. The old village chief was on the verge of death. The immortal was completely unmoved. "Someone else who can speak up, hand over the rent first." The villagers did not dare to disobey. Several young people carried over 20 sacks and placed them respectfully in front of the immortal. The man glanced over and snorted coldly. "For bags less. For lives. Do you want to choose, or should I?" The villagers looked at each other. The old village chief was still breathing. He looked at the villagers. Just now, they had lost more than 20 young and strong men, and now another 4 had to die. Cough, cough, cough. "It's all because I'm useless. Count me in." Village head. "You can't go. I'm old and I've lived long enough. The elders of the village can go first." "Count me in. I don't have any arms now. If I live, I'll only be a burden to everyone. Urju, if it wasn't for you last time, we wouldn't have been able to subdue that beast. You are a cripple for the village. A disability is a disability. One by one, the villagers stood up. The others fell into sorrow, but there was nothing they could do. At this moment, the man suddenly saw Lu Chen in the crowd. Currently, Lu Chen was in the observation stage. However, his clothes and temperament were completely different from the villagers who had been starving for a long time. He was recognized at a glance. There's such a person in your village? Hey, the kid in red, come over here. Lu Chen slightly frowned and walked out from the crowd. Immortal, are you calling me? What else? Look, who here is still wearing red? Lu Chen nodded. Oh, then you should be calling me. Immortal, I'm not from this village. The matters here don't seem to have much to do with me. The few immortals looked at each other. The leader sneered. Don't worry, we know you're not from this village. Let me ask you, are you willing to join the immortal sect? Lu Chen was stunned for a moment. This group of people actually wanted him to join the immortal sect? Kid, we're all the same. All the experts in the 5th celestial layer are crazily gathering resources to increase their strength. As the saying goes, it's better to have a big tree to rely on. Joining the immortal sect, for our Azure Dragon sect, can strengthen our strength. For you, you'll also get a share of the profits. Many of the villagers looked at Lu Chen in astonishment. They didn't expect this person to have the qualifications to become an immortal. His tone and attitude just now made them feel that he was just an ordinary person. Hey kid, what do you say? Lu Chen glanced at the villagers behind him. He already understood their miserable state clearly. He naturally knew what kind of sect the Azure Dragon sect was. If I join the Azure Dragon sect, can I be like you, collecting rent from these people and killing them at will? Lu Chen asked. Of course you can. We are the true rulers of this place. The commoners of this low-level planet are naturally at our mercy. To be able to die in our hands is their honor. Lu Chen smiled. What you said seems to make sense. But I'm very curious. Are the commoners in the 5th celestial layer human? If you want to know more, then join our Azure Dragon sect. We are open to people with strength. Oh right, if you want to have a taste of killing pigs, how about letting you do it after they've chosen their people? Lu Chen nodded. Sounds interesting. After saying that, Lu Chen walked over to the immortal's side. The villagers were already numb. Anyway, whether this red-clothed man did it or others did it, it didn't make a difference to them. Until now, they didn't even dare to say a word against the immortal. The 4 people who were going to die had already been chosen. They came in front of the immortal and obediently knelt on the ground. Kid, from now on you are a member of our Azure Dragon sect. Today, I'll let you have a taste of it. This place is different from the past. Here, you can really kill people. The red-clothed man couldn't hide the excitement in his heart. All right, remember to use soul-body unification. On the one hand, using it before returning to the sect is a sign of respect for the Azure Dragon sect. On the other hand, it will be more interesting to kill. Lu Chen smiled and pulled out the limitless demon god sword. He walked in front of the 4 villagers and used the tip of his sword to touch the village chief's shoulder. Soul-body unification. The immortal behind him saw that this guy actually used soul-body unification to kill people and couldn't help but smile. Hee, this guy is really to my liking. Come, let's watch his performance. The village chief raised his head slightly and secretly glanced at Lu Chen. Seeing this person's eyes emitting a green fog, his heart couldn't help but turn cold. Heaven and earth are heartless, treating all living things like straw dogs. This is our fate. Suddenly, the young man in front of him said faintly, Old man, you have the courage to die for the villagers. Why don't you have the courage to change your own fate? The old man raised his head in surprise. He saw that young man smiling at him with a gentle gaze. But when he turned around, his eyes were filled with killing intent. Originally, I wanted to keep a low profile first. But you guys have really disgusted me. You still dare to call yourself an immortal. You guys are simply shameless to the extreme. Lu Chen turned around and his black hair instantly turned white. His eyes turned blood red. If the 5th layer of heaven is filled with immortals like you guys, Then I, Lu Chen, will follow the path of the devil and slay immortals. Chapter 721. When the immortals saw that Lu Chen was actually targeting them, their faces immediately darkened. Kid, I didn't expect that after going through so many heavens, you still haven't realized the cruelty of reality. You want to be enemies with our Azure Dragon sect just because of them. Lu Chen looked at the shocked villagers behind him. He seemed to have seen the fate of Earth in the future. If the final battle was really the result of the Whirlpool world, would Earth become another world that was ruled by another world? No matter what, he must enter the final battle. Lu Chen looked at the people from Azure Dragon sect and sneered. Whether I help them or not is secondary. The main thing is that I don't like you guys. I can't help but want to teach those who don't like me a lesson. Ha, kid, you're already so arrogant when you just arrived at Fifth Heaven? Do you know what kind of place Fifth Heaven is? Do you still think it's like the past? Lu Chen curled his lips. The bigger the game, the more I like it. Alright kid, you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Since you want to die, then we'll fulfill your wish. Soul-body fusion. The 7 Azure Dragon sect disciples activated their soul-body fusion technique at the same time. Kid, with all of us combined, our soul-body fusion will last for a few hours. See how we'll kill you. Lu Chen snorted. Do you think I'll give you the chance to exhaust all the time? Arrogant. Same old rules, don't fight recklessly for the time being. Exhaust his soul-body fusion and he'll definitely die. Lu Chen realized that the tactics of Fifth Heaven had suddenly changed. They had changed from a head-on fight to a delaying tactic. Unfortunately, everyone came from the 4th celestial layer. The others obtained the approval of the Extreme Een Netherglow, while Lu Chen directly killed it. The difference between the two was self-evident. The current battle must be ended quickly. Coincidentally, this was also Lu Chen's favorite style. He always liked to kill in seconds. Demon God Symbiosis. Death Trap. Dragon Blood Boiling. Chaos Domain. Lu Chen quickly activated his skill. Within the Chaos Domain, even if these people's domains overlapped, they would not be able to affect Lu Chen. Delaying tactic? It won't work on me. Lu Chen bellowed. Ghostly shadows, descend. For a moment, a large number of ghostly shadows appeared on the battlefield, moving rapidly. Lu Chen quickly landed in front of the leader. I'm all ears. That person was pulled to Lu Chen's side, and he was immediately shocked. For a person who had just arrived from the 4th layer of heaven, considering that the 5th layer of heaven had directly transmigrated with his physical body, as long as the other party had the intention, with the battle prowess of soul body as one, his physical body would almost certainly be destroyed. They were often timid at the beginning of the battle, and their fighting style was quite cautious. However, the red-clothed man in front of him was not like that at all. He had lowered his HP to an extremely low level right from the start. Moreover, he did not even think twice before initiating an attack. From his ferocious fighting style, this fellow must have experienced countless life and death battles in the 3rd or 4th heavenly domain to be able to fight like this. How can you move freely in my domain? Lu Chen sneered. He had no obligation to answer the other party's question. Since he had closed in on the other party, then what awaited him was Lu Chen's fierce attack. Fierce Tiger descends the mountain. The limitless sword of the celestial demon pierced out 10 times in a row. There was no indication of the person's HP above his head, and there were no numbers floating out. There were only 10 strikes, and each strike left a bloody hole in his body. In the blink of an eye, that person's bloodshot eyes bulged, and blood spurted out from his body. He directly fell to the ground and stopped moving. Was this the fighting style of a 5th layer of heaven? This question flashed through Lu Chen's mind, but now was not the time to think about it. His figure quickly landed beside another person. This person saw that his senior brother was instantly killed by Lu Chen, but his reaction was fast enough. Seeing the ghostly shadows shooting towards him, he quickly made a move. Dragon Roar Sun-Piercing Sword Art. The longsword in his hand was not like Lu Chen's wide and flat longsword. It was more like a slender weapon in Western fencing. His movements were extremely fast, and his arms were only left with afterimages. He had already stabbed countless times. 9 steps in the void. Lu Qin used his movement technique, but it was not to dodge, but to change the direction of the opponent's attack with the miniature vortex. Affected by the miniature vortex, the dragon roar sun-piercing sword art's direction was deviated, and Lu Qin had already turned around and arrived beside him. Fierce tiger descends the mountain. He killed another person. The villagers behind him were already dumbfounded at this moment. This is the strength of an immortal? He's too strong. It's already to the point where it's hard to see with the naked eye. He has already killed 2 immortals. My God, he killed immortals. There's still such a terrifying battle in this world. To them, Lu Qin's battle had already exceeded their imagination. Not long after, Lu Qin had already killed the 7th Azure Dragon sect disciple. This guy was trying to escape, but Lu Qin caught up and directly killed him. The 7 Azure Dragon sect disciples were all lying in a pool of blood. Their bodies were full of bloody holes, and blood was constantly gushing out from their corpses. Lu Qin glanced at the limitless demon god sword and discovered that there were still traces of blood on the sword, dripping down along the blade. This was real blood. The light emitted by the limitless sword gradually became more intense, as if it was stimulated by the blood and became excited. In Lu Qin's mind, the voice of the limitless sword rang out. This is the smell of blood. It's been a long time since I smelled this smell. Lu Qin was slightly surprised. You've been to the 5th layer of heaven before? Boss, I already don't remember, but this smell gives me a feeling of déjà vu, the artifact spirit said. Lu Qin nodded. The limitless sword should have been to the 5th layer of heaven, or even higher heaven domain. At this moment, the surrounding villagers were already scared out of their wits, and were out of their wits. Young man. The village chief struggled to stand up and quickly walked in front of Lu Qin. Quickly run. If the Azure Dragon sect knows that you killed their people, they will definitely come to find you for revenge. Lu Qin kept the limitless sword and said indifferently, send someone to inform the Azure Dragon sect. Just say that I killed their people. No, you killed the immortal for us. We can't betray you. The village chief shook his head. That's right, if not for you, I'm afraid that we wouldn't have survived this winter. Immortal, although we are weak, we will definitely not do such a thing to repay kindness with enmity. Lu Qin smiled. I appreciate your kind intentions. I've killed their people. The Azure Dragon sect won't be able to find me for a while, but you guys, if you don't report it, I'm afraid that you will be implicated. At that time, I reckon that it's not something that can be solved with just a few deaths. You guys might even die. The village chief went silent. Lu Qin patted the village chief's shoulder. Don't worry, you guys have seen my strength just now. I won't die so easily. Now, there's no time to lose. Quickly go and report it. After saying that, Lu Qin turned around and walked towards the 7 corpses, sizing up these blurry corpses. After killing 7 people, Lu Qin realized that he didn't feel anything after all. He had already killed a few enemies in the 3rd or 4th layer of heaven by injuring his body. These people treated the common people as livestock, slaughtering them as they wished. They deserved to die, so Lu Qin didn't have any psychological burden. But the problem was there no data for fighting nowadays? Then the next question was, did these people drop any equipment? Thinking of this, Lu Qin squatted down and started to loot the corpses. Logically speaking, everything should be mine. Lu Qin frowned. Chapter 722. These people's armor had different degrees of damage, but their weapons could still be used. Lu Qin kept all 7 immortal weapons. Why didn't the other items drop? Lu Qin was surprised, but suddenly a series of soft explosive sounds came from the air. Then a few scattered items appeared on the ground. Pills, equipment, spirit stones, many attribute extraction scrolls, and a small book. Lu Qin thought for a moment and immediately understood. The sound just now should be the sound of the battle's soul being destroyed. After the battle's soul died, the items in the backpack would burst out. But what is the use of the attribute extraction scrolls now? Time was tight, so Lu Qin didn't have time to think about it. He hurriedly picked up all the spoils and casually gave the village chief a few dozen spirit stones. The village chief was so scared that his hands trembled. "Immortal, these are spirit stones. You have already saved our village, we can't accept such valuable things." Lu Chen said indifferently, "Take it, don't let the people of Azure Dragon School know. If possible, it's better for you to move away. This matter should not be delayed, I have to go, you guys take care of yourselves." Finished speaking, Lu Chen took advantage of the fact that the soul-body fusion was not over and prepared to use displacement to leave. But the old village chief suddenly pulled Lu Chen. "Immortal, you wait a moment." Finished speaking, the old village chief let his son run back home and quickly took a piece of beast skin. The village chief looked at the villagers and said to them, "Everyone, I want to give our village's treasure to our benefactor, what do you all think?" "Village chief, our benefactor saved our lives, we have no objections. Yes, he also gave us spirit stones. These spirit stones are enough for us to live for a long time. Such a great kindness, we should give it to our benefactor." Lu Chen's face was blank. What exactly is this thing? Speaking of which, these poor villagers, what kind of treasure did they keep? After getting everyone's approval, the village chief held the beast skin and walked in front of Lu Chen. "Benefactor, this is a rare beast skin that we accidentally obtained in the process of dragon hunting. It is impervious to fire and water, invulnerable to swords and spears. Once we take out this treasure, we might be targeted. If the Azure Dragon School knows that we took it out to sell, they might even exterminate our clan. So, we give this treasure to you as a gift to repay your kindness." I don't intend to ask you to repay anything. We know, benefactor, this kind of thing is not something we can use. To us, it will harm us, you should accept it." Lu Chen thought for a moment and finally accepted the beast skin. The system still retained the item identification function, giving the item information immediately. Acquired equipment strengthening material, mature feral skin. Effect: reduce damage, reduce physical damage by 10%. Lu Chen was taken aback. A strengthening material that reduces physical damage. This thing is definitely a treasure in the fifth heaven. In the battle with the Azure Dragon School disciple, it was not difficult to see that armor could not prevent damage to the body. In the case of soul and body as one, the battle soul and the body were in a state of coexistence. When the battle soul was injured, the body would also be seriously injured. The heart demon state of the divine demon lotus heart could reduce damage to the body by 80%, but Lu Chen would not use the heart demon state unless it was a last resort. And this strengthening material could reduce damage to the body by 10%, which was very useful to Lu Chen. He did not expect that helping these villagers would be rewarded so well. Lu Chen was a little embarrassed. Lu Chen stuffed 1,000 spirit stones to the village chief, hoping that these poor villagers would have a good ending. Time was too short, so Lu Chen did not stay any longer. After bidding farewell to the villagers, he quickly went into the forest and disappeared. Beside a stream in the forest, Lu Chen washed the bloodstains on his body in the clear water. "I just arrived at the fifth heaven and I already killed people?" Lu Chen shook his head. He originally wanted to seriously cultivate, but in the end he walked on a path of no return. After reaching the maximum level, Lu Chen's attributes were even stronger than when he fought the Great Moon Netherglow. Now, it seemed that as long as he had soul and body as one, he would still be very strong. Among the spoils of war obtained from the Azure Dragon School disciple, there was a small booklet. It recorded the Azure Dragon School's territory and some of their members. Their territory was very vast. After Lu Chen's soul and body as one state ended, he could not walk out with his physical strength. "The Azure Dragon School will probably not let me go. Just in case, I should think of a way to increase my body's strength." This place was already very far from the dragon hunting village. Although it was not out of the Azure Dragon School's territory, it would not be easy for the Azure Dragon School to find him. Lu Chen set up a temporary camp beside the stream. Unknowingly, it was already night time. Some strange sounds came from the forest in the distance. He did not know what kind of creature it was. Those villagers said they were going to hunt a dragon. That means there are many wild beasts in the forest. Lu Chen summoned Little Furball. Little Furball, help me look after them. After instructing Little Furball, Lu Chen sat cross-legged on the grass beside the bonfire. I'll cultivate for a while and see if there are any changes. Activating the God and Devil origin cultivation method, after a few minutes of cultivation, Lu Chen realized that all his spiritual energy had been added to the battle soul. The battle soul's spiritual energy is increasing. The 1 million upper limit has been unlocked. But how do I increase my spiritual energy? Suddenly, Lu Chen thought of the attribute extraction scroll that he had obtained from killing people. Let's give it a try. The value of these attribute extraction scrolls were not large. There were 10 or 20 points, but there were quite a lot of them. There were 30 to 40 of them. Picking up one of the 10 points attribute extraction scrolls, the system gave an item introduction. 10 points attribute extraction scroll can extract 10 points of spiritual energy. The body's attributes cannot exceed the battle soul's attributes. Lu Chen immediately used the attribute extraction scroll and extracted 10 points of spiritual energy. Received 10 points of spiritual energy. Every point of spiritual energy can strengthen 3 points of any 3 attributes. It can also be directly added to the body's spiritual core. So that's how it is. Lu Chen finally understood. In the level 5, to increase the body's strength, one had to use the attribute extraction scroll. The current attribute extraction scroll could only extract spiritual energy. However, after extracting spiritual energy, every point of spiritual energy could be exchanged for 3 points of any 3 attributes. Of course, it could also be directly added to spiritual energy. The previous attribute extraction scroll was indeed more expensive than the 3-dimensional attribute extraction scroll. It seems that it is not without reason. Also, I still don't know how to get the attribute extraction scroll. Forget it, let's not worry about it for now. I'll use up these attribute extraction scrolls first. This time, Lu Chen exchanged all 10 points of spiritual energy for physique. Adding a little more blood meant that the body could resist a little more. Although 30 points of physique was negligible in front of the battle soul, a little more was still a little more. This fight was not in vain. I have a rough idea of the rules of the level 5. The battle soul's function was greater than Lu Chen had expected. In addition to soul-body fusion, the battle soul was also a reference for attribute extraction. The body's attributes could not exceed the battle soul's attributes. Lu Chen's battle soul's attributes were very exaggerated. Now that he could continue to increase his strength, it meant that his upper limit was definitely much higher than the average person. Chapter 723. After figuring out the method to upgrade his body, Lu Chen used all the extraction scrolls in one go. There were a total of 32 extraction scrolls, which increased his spiritual energy by 470 points. Lu Chen added all 470 points to his physique, which became 1,410 points. Little Furball stood guard at the side, and no other creatures approached them. Seeing that Lu Chen was distributing the attributes so seriously, Little Furball stared at Lu Chen with its small eyes. Gee. Hey, what are you doing? Is there a problem with me adding them all to physique? Is this a coward? This is a strategy. If I don't have enough physique, I won't be able to walk far. Lu Chen forced himself to explain. If you laugh at me again, I won't give you any more extraction scrolls. Lu Chen threatened Little Furball fiercely. Gee. You can increase your attributes just by eating. Damn, you are too much. Lu Chen widened his eyes. Alright, Little Furball was indeed strong, and it seemed that its strength was even more exaggerated in the 5th heaven domain. Forget it. I can't compare to you. Lu Chen shook his head and could only admit defeat. After completing the extraction scrolls, Lu Chen fused the fierce beast skin with the wild blood sword god costume. When fusing, the system notified him that he lacked the core material. Lu Chen immediately inserted an equipment strengthening stone. This time, he finally succeeded. The potion boy said that these core materials are very useful. So it is true. Lu Chen looked at his backpack. There were still 522 pieces of various materials. It doesn't feel like a lot. Let's see if I can get more in the future. After fusing the costume, Lu Chen lay on the haystack and looked up at the starry sky above. The fifth heaven domain is actually a real world. Which galaxy is this? What is this world like? It feels different from what I imagined cultivation to be like. Shouldn't immortals care about the world and be kind and charitable? Why did they encounter the Azure Dragon sect that used such cruel methods to oppress and enslave the commoners? Lu Chen wasn't a saint, but he had a special characteristic. He didn't like to bully others. Weaklings? Wasn't he once a commoner at the lowest rung of society? He was different from the descendants of those big clans. He could understand the feelings of the weak. Immortal? Perhaps it's just the immortals they speak of, Lu Chen said disdainfully. Above his head, the starry sky was dotted with stars. The bright river of stars was exceptionally bright in the clear night sky. As the night breeze caressed him, Lu Chen could vividly feel everything in this different world. I actually transmigrated. Lu Chen rested his head on his hands and looked at the starry sky with a smile. This was something that many people dreamed of, and now it had really happened. Lu Yi will definitely be worried if I don't go back for a long time, but the guide that Li Muhua mentioned should know about my situation. He came in a hurry this time. Originally, Lu Chen thought that even if he had transmigrated, he could still find a way to go back at any time. However, his current situation was a little awkward. Since no one asked him about it, he could only stay in the game for the time being. Who is the girl who shed tears for me? Unknowingly, under the tranquil night sky, a young man still had many questions in his mind. However, in the end he couldn't resist the fatigue and gradually fell asleep. Early the next morning, the sun shone through the gaps in the leaves. When Lu Chen woke up, he felt extremely hungry. At this moment, Furball was hugging a strange fish that was even bigger than itself. It ran crookedly to Lu Chen's side. Oh, you are hungry too? Lu Chen recalled that Rhubarb also had a corporeal body and was definitely hungry. He summoned Rhubarb. Sigh, if I had known, I would have learned cooking. It turns out that this skill is the most useful. However, what surprised Lu Chen was that his cooking skill was now a 2-star cooking master. He used to work in a restaurant's kitchen and often cooked. It seemed like his real-life skills had been recorded. So be it. I can't compare to that bastard chasing Cloud. Let's just eat a little. Furball didn't like to eat non-living things. After giving the fish to Lu Chen, it ran off to catch another fish. Lu Chen roasted the fish and enjoyed it with rhubarb. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, Lu Chen had nothing to do. He flipped through the small booklet he obtained. The Azure Dragon sect has a total of 831 people. They have the qualifications to register as a sect. They have 512 1-star cultivators, 219 2-star cultivators, 81 3-star cultivators, 17 3-star cultivators, and 2 5-star cultivators. What is this thing? Lu Chen opened his panel and realized that his name could be chosen. Oh! Lu Chen tried to choose his name. Lu Chen, unlocked immortal cultivation level. Ranking, after 100 million, Lu Chen blinked. He didn't have anyone to guide him now. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have known there was such a thing. What is this thing? Unlocked immortal cultivation. Immortal cultivation level upgraded to 1-star wild cultivator. Can be upgraded, enter a proper sect, and become a cultivator. Cultivators can enjoy the sect's benefits. Obtained item, 10 points of spiritual energy extraction scroll, x10. Obtained item, 1-star wild cultivator badge. Ranking, after 100 million, oh? Lu Chen opened his eyes wide. There was such a good thing? Speaking of which, why was it a wild cultivator? It sounded weird, like a savage. However, cultivators and wild cultivators didn't seem to have any difference in attributes. It was just that their names were different. So what if I'm a wild cultivator? I wouldn't go to that kind of sect even if they begged me. Continue to level up. Immortal cultivation level upgraded to 2-star wild cultivator. Next level requires 2,000 points of spiritual energy. Obtain 20 points of Spiritual Energy Extraction Scroll X10. 1-star Wild Cultivator Badge has been upgraded to 2-star Wild Cultivator Badge. Ranking, after 90 million. Finally, it's not after 100 million. It seems like most people are still 1-star cultivators. It's just that there's still 90 million in front of me. Then, those super strong cultivators, would their attributes have already reached the upper limit of the battle soul? Thinking of this, Lu Chen couldn't help but re-evaluate the strength of the 5th celestial layer. The Wild Cultivator Badge was imprinted on Lu Chen's chest and couldn't be removed. This thing is useless. Leveling up is automatic. I can also choose not to level up. So in the future, I can't judge a person's strength just by looking at the badge. Speaking of which, do I have to call myself a Wild Cultivator? Can't I just call myself a Wild Cultivator? Lu Chen shook his head. Regardless of whether his title was unpleasant or not, the 20 points of Spiritual Energy Extraction Scrolls were real. Lu Chen couldn't wait to quickly extract his attributes. 300 points of Spiritual Energy Extraction Scroll was exchanged for 900 points of Physique. Physique is now 3,600. Lu Chen said proudly, "My current physique has already reached the middle level of a 4-star cultivator. Among 2-star cultivators, I'm a monster." In the Azure Dragon sect, a man with a stocky back and a bare waist was furious. What? A mere newbie actually killed my Azure Dragon sect disciple. How dare he kill someone and steal their treasures in the territory of my Azure Dragon sect? If this matter were to spread, my Azure Dragon sect's face would be gone. I must cut this person into pieces to relieve the hatred in my heart. A skinny man with a goatee said, "Hall Master, before Sun Yu was killed, he left a Xuanlong's tongue on him." Alright, he has already used Soul Body as one. He definitely won't be able to escape in a day or two. With the Xuanlong's tongue, he won't be able to escape even if he has wings. Follow me immediately to kill this person. If my Azure Dragon sect Marquis doesn't let him die, he really thinks that the 5th celestial layer is a joke. Chapter 724. Lu Chen had obtained a map in the booklet. Lu Chen synchronized it with his personal map. Today, there is another 10 minutes of soul-body fusion, but it would be best to accumulate it to an hour. During this time, I should try not to encounter any wild beasts. There is a county town nearby. I can go take a look. Lu Chen washed up and brought rhubarb and the little fur ball to the county town. Lu Chen's taisho had already been extracted and could be used directly. However, it consumed too much spirit qi. Lu Chen could only fly and walk for a while. 2 hours later, Lu Chen saw a towering city tower not far away. There were 3 words on it, Jinshui County. The county town was not too big, but it was quite popular. There was an endless stream of people coming and going at the city gate. Some people had a cultivator badge on their chest. However, they were all 1-star cultivators. There were very few 2-star cultivators. When the city gate guards saw the 2-star Wild Cultivator badge on Lu Chen's chest, several of them were stunned. 2-star cultivators were nothing. The key was that he was a Wild Cultivator. This guy was already a 2-star cultivator and yet he had not joined a sect? However, they did not dare to stop Lu Chen and watched him enter the county town. There was a county town map in front of the county town. Lu Chen noticed that although this place was small, it had all the essentials. Restaurants, inns, shops, and even brothels. The local brothel called Full Flower House was said to be very popular. In addition, there was a trading area for cultivators to trade. One had to wear a cultivator badge to enter. Brothel. Lu Chen suppressed the curiosity in his heart. He shook his head and walked in another direction. In the immortal trading area, the decorations of the shops here were much more exquisite than outside. Every shop was exquisitely carved and had a rather stylish style. 1 spirit stone was enough to buy such a luxurious shop. For ordinary cultivators, opening a shop in the mortal world naturally had to be done well. After looking at a few shops, Lu Chen noticed that they were all selling battle soul equipment. Most of them were peak tier 4 heavenly layers. Lu Chen had already obtained these items before, so he didn't need to buy them. Lu Chen called out Little Green, Little Green, I'll give you 1,000,000 spirit stones. Take Little Furball to a medicinal shop and buy whatever medicinal herbs you need. 1,000,000? Boss, I don't think we need that much. It's fine. Don't the alchemist apprentices need medicinal herb seeds as well? I can't spend them all, so I'll leave them with you for now. I won't accompany you anymore. I'll go see if there's anything else. Alright. Little Green was under the protection of Little Furball, so he wandered around the area without any danger. Lu Chen brought Rhubarb to look around. After a while, Rhubarb suddenly ran towards a shop. Lu Chen was startled and hurriedly followed. Rhubarb's ability to find treasures was unquestionable. Lu Chen naturally wouldn't let go of anything that could pique its interest. This was a simple and unadorned shop. The decorations inside were all carved from solid wood. The decorations took up more than half of the shop's interior, but there were very few goods on display. After Rhubarb came in, it immediately appeared very calm. Lu Chen was well aware that Rhubarb knew that it couldn't act too strangely. Otherwise, it would be difficult for Lu Chen to bargain. It stopped in front of a tree stump and pretended to sniff the table leg. There was a pretty girl in the shop. When she saw Rhubarb walking around the table leg, she became anxious. Hey, whose dog is this? Don't pee in my shop. Rhubarb quickly ran behind Lu Chen. When the girl saw Lu Chen, her gaze naturally fell on his chest. 2-star cultivator. At the same time, Lu Chen also noticed the girl's badge. 3-star cultivator. She was actually higher than him. It's your dog? It can't be a battle pet, right? Lu Chen smiled. Who would bring a battle pet with them? Don't worry, Rhubarb won't cause trouble. The girl looked at Rhubarb suspiciously. Alright, you better be good. If you dare to pee in my shop, I will, forget it. Let's see if your master wants to buy anything. The girl once again looked at Lu Chen. You're a wild cultivator? In Lu Chen's mind, he would always associate wild cultivator with savage. It felt like the other party was asking, you're a savage? That's right. I'm a wild cultivator. Interesting. You actually don't want to join a sect. That way, you'll lose a lot of resources. Lu Chen smiled. Thank you for your reminder, but I don't plan to join a sect for the time being. That's right, boss. Do you sell cash withdrawal coupons? Cash withdrawal coupons? You actually want to buy cash withdrawal coupons? The girl emphasized the word, buy, as if ordinary people wouldn't buy cash withdrawal coupons. I do have some here, but they are reserved for experts. The price is not something you can accept. Lu Chen's smile remained. How much for 10 points? 10 points? Little friend, I don't sell 10 points here. My starting price is 50 points, and the price is 10,000 spirit stones per coupons. When Lu Chen heard this, he immediately became spirited. There are higher denominations? Higher denominations? Yes, there are, but unfortunately, you can't afford it. The 100 points cost 20,000 spirit stones per coupons. Do you think you can afford it? I say, little brother, you're biting off more than you can chew. How many spirit stones can a 2-star cultivator like you have? It's better for you to honestly join a sect. Lu Chen's heart pounded. He still had 6 million spirit stones. He could buy a lot of cash withdrawal coupons. 1-point coupons costs 200 spirit stones, right? Okay, how many do you have here? When the girl heard this, she suddenly felt that something was wrong. She re-examined the young man in front of her. No matter how she looked at him, he didn't look like an expert. After all, he was just a rogue cultivator. Who wouldn't join a sect after reaching 2-star? At this moment, she remembered her father saying that a person who entered a business was a customer. She couldn't judge a book by its cover. Those people who judged a book by its cover might mention a stone at any time. Could it be that she met such a stone today? Forget it. I have 25 50 points coupons and 10 100 points coupons. The total is 3,250 points. The cash withdrawal coupons have always been in short supply. We're the only shop nearby that has them. If I buy more, is there a discount? How many do you want? All of them. What's the lowest price? All of them? Are you sure? That's 650,000 spirit stones. I say, big sister, you're doing business. Why do you have so many questions? Just tell me what's the best discount. Oh, right, your discount is suitable. Let me see if there's anything else fun in your shop. Facing such a rich man, the girl started to feel nervous. Even that rhubarb dog that was wandering around became exceptionally cute. Cough cough, 2-star cultivators can enjoy a 20% discount. In addition, I'll give you a 0.8% discount. That means you can enjoy a 10% discount when you buy from me. Lu Chen shook his head. Only 10%? Then forget it. Goodbye. After saying that, Lu Chen turned around and left without hesitation. Hey, big brother, don't go. I'll give you an internal discount. Lu Chen frowned slightly. He took out a bag of spirit stones from his backpack and weighed it in his hand. You're not honest. I've already said that you'll give me the lowest price. How about this, I'll give you another chance. What's the lowest price? If you're not satisfied, I'll leave. Seeing the heavy bag of spirit stones in Lu Chen's hand, the girl's eyes widened. Why was this wild cultivator so rich? Did he get some treasure? Right now, the initiative was completely on Lu Chen's side. The female boss hesitated for a long time before finally saying, 6.8% discount. This handsome guy, this is really my lowest price. You can go outside and ask around. The lowest price for a 1-point attribute scroll is 150. I'll give you 138 now. Lu Chen actually had no one to ask. However, thinking about it, a 10% discount to 6.8% should be enough. Lu Chen didn't say that he would buy it, but he also didn't say that he wouldn't buy it. Instead, he walked to the front of the tree stump. Only now did he pay attention to the things on it. What exactly could it be that Big Yellow was interested in? Chapter 725. The tree stump was quite artistic. There was a golden round bronze mirror on it, and the vague reflection of Lu Chen and the others was on the mirror. Is this mirror a powerful battle soul magic weapon? Lu Chen asked strangely, why did you put it in such a conspicuous position? In fact, this is a work of art. You see how fine the carvings around it are. The beautiful boss introduced, in fact, I just think it looks good. Lu Chen was speechless. This boss was quite capricious. Lu Chen carefully looked at the carvings around the bronze mirror. It seemed to be 9 strange birds, and there were a few words engraved on the bottom of the bronze mirror. 9 turns golden crow mirror. Is it just an ornament? Well, you can take it. The system will give you an item description. Lu Chen picked up the mirror and found that the mirror was actually very heavy. He had to use both hands to pick it up. 9 turns golden crow mirror, ancient relic, unknown use. Ancient relic. Lu Chen looked at the mirror in his hand in surprise. He did not understand what was so special about this thing, but Rhubarb took a fancy to this treasure. There must be a reason for it. If I want all the attribute extraction tickets just now, plus this bronze mirror, how much is it? If you want this, I will sell it to you for 10,000 spirit stones. The original price is 18,888 spirit stones. No way, you want to sell an ornament for so much? This is not an ordinary ornament. This is an ancient relic. No one can say for sure if an ancient relic has any other effect. You can understand the market even if it has no effect, just these 4 words. The starting price is at least 5 figures. Lu Chen nodded. Okay, then calculate the total price. The boss excitedly took out the abacus and kept clicking it, and soon calculated the result. 452,000 spirit stones. 450,000, okay. In the end, Lu Chen bought the 3,250 attribute points attribute extraction ticket at the price of 450,000 spirit stones, plus this 9 turns golden crow mirror that he did not know the use of. That, come to us more often in the future. The boss was like a different person from before. He was particularly enthusiastic and personally sent Lu Chen and Rhubarb out of the shop. The surrounding shops were almost finished. Little Green and the others also came back. She bought 200,000 medicinal herbs. The medicinal shop owners sent her out like a god of wealth. After shopping, Lu Chen took Little Green, Rhubarb, and the little hairball out of Jinshui County. In the suburbs, Lu Chen quickly found a place and stopped Rhubarb. Rhubarb, what is this? Why do you want this thing? Woof, woof, woof. Big Yellow was very excited this time. What? You want to refine this thing? Lu Chen looked at Rhubarb puzzledly. Is this guy related to this ancient relic? Then how do I refine it? Lu Chen took out the 9 turns golden crow mirror. There was no explanation on it. While rotating the 9 turns golden crow mirror, the mirror inadvertently shone on Rhubarb, and suddenly the 9 turns golden crow mirror shone brightly. Lu Chen vaguely saw a giant beast in the mirror. The appearance was very vague, but the giant beast was indomitable. He did not know how tall it was. Lu Chen looked at the mirror in shock, and then looked at Rhubarb. The mirror reflected Rhubarb, but it reflected a giant beast. Lu Chen was suddenly stunned. Rhubarb, this can't be your original appearance. Rhubarb could not explain it clearly, but he knew that there was some kind of connection between himself and this mirror. Rhubarb, then this mirror will be handed over to you. If you need any materials, just tell me, I will get it for you. Lu Chen put the mirror into Rhubarb's backpack. Rhubarb was so happy that his tail kept spinning. When the 9 turns golden crow mirror shone on Lu Chen, there was no reaction at all. It seemed that Lu Chen was not fated to be with it. Fortunately, if it was useful to Rhubarb, that was also a good thing. After all, Rhubarb was also a guy with a physical body. Finding a quiet lake, Lu Chen used all the cash extraction scrolls he had just bought. A total of 3,250 attribute points. Lu Chen thought about it and decided to add spiritual power this time. Increasing the level of a cultivator could get additional rewards. Lu Chen added 2,900 points to spiritual power, so his spiritual power was exactly 4,000 points, reaching the level of a 5-star wild cultivator. The system rewards were continuously refreshed. Obtained item, 30 points attribute extraction scroll, *10, leveled up to a 3-star wild cultivator, ranking below 50 million. Obtained item, 40 points attribute extraction scroll, *10, leveled up to a 4-star wild cultivator, ranking below 20 million. Obtained item, 50 points attribute extraction scroll, *10, leveled up to a 5-star wild cultivator, ranking below 10 million. There are still 1550 attribute points. I'd better add them to physique. Safety first, after all, most of the time I don't have soul and body as one. Physique increased by 4650 points. Now Lu Chen's physique had reached 8,200 points, almost breaking through 10,000 points. Why do I feel that leveling up in the 5th heaven is faster than leveling up in the 1st heaven? Leveling up in the 1st heaven only adds a few attribute points. Of course, ordinary people also had to consider the upper limit of the War Soul's attributes. Under the premise of increasing their own strength, they also had to increase the attributes of the War Soul to prevent their upper limit from being too low. However, Lu Chen did not have this worry at all. His War Soul's 3rd dimension was close to 2 million, and his spiritual power was 1 million. It was enough for him to level up for a long time. There are still 10 million people ahead of me. It seems that the 5th heaven is indeed a place with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Just as Lu Chen was planning to rest here and cultivate his mental cultivation method to increase his War Soul's spiritual power, Lu Chen suddenly noticed that in the distant sky, there was a large group of people riding on huge mounts flying in the sky. From the direction of their flight, it seemed that they were heading towards him. What a coincidence! So many people were heading towards him. Lu Chen's first reaction was that they might be people from the Green Dragon sect. Lu Chen suddenly realized. That's strange. If they are people from the Green Dragon sect, why are they looking for me with such fanfare? Aren't they afraid that I'll find out? There was a possibility that this group of people actually only knew Lu Chen's approximate location. As they were unable to determine his exact location, they might as well use their mounts to fly. Since they had many people, they could take turns to change their mounts. Even if Lu Chen saw them, he would definitely not be able to outrun their mounts. It doesn't matter if they are from the Green Dragon sect or not, let's hide first. After saying that, Lu Chen hurriedly got up and brought Rhubarb and Little Hairy Ball, quickly hiding in the dense forest. However, the strange thing was that when Lu Chen's position changed, those people in the sky also adjusted their flight direction at the same time. They always maintained a straight line towards Lu Chen. Lu Chen's mind was spinning crazily as he sprinted. Could it be that there is a GPS on my body? Lu Chen suddenly felt that there was a high possibility of this. GPS was impossible as that was something from Earth. However, it could be some kind of skill or talisman. Spiritual Qi Minute Subtlety. Lu Chen quickly examined the changes in the spiritual qi around him and quickly discovered that after he moved, he left behind a faint and strange spiritual qi. This spiritual qi did not dissipate because of Lu Chen's departure. Instead, it lingered in the same place for a long time. Sure enough, I was tricked. Lu Chen's eyes widened. With this spiritual qi, it was no wonder that group of people could track him. At the same time, it also explained why they did not know Lu Chen's exact location. This was because they could only follow the path of the spiritual qi and had no way of knowing where Lu Chen was. Chapter 726. Lu Chen quickly discovered that the remnant spirit qi was left behind from his back. At this moment, there was no indication on his body that he had been hit. There was also no talisman on his back. It might have disappeared after it took effect. When did I get hit? Lu Chen was slightly angry. He was not angry because he was being tracked, but because he was careless to this extent. It should be when I was killing those Azure Dragon Sect disciples. From the Azure Dragon Sect's stance, it seems like they are going all out to kill me. Forget it, I have to be more careful in the future. Lu Chen quickly ran while calming himself down. After finding the problem, Lu Chen could easily resolve it. As long as he used Spirit Qi to seal the leakage of Spirit Qi, the Azure Dragon Sect people would not be able to find him. The Dragon Sect Marquis was currently tracking Sun Long XNZ. Sect Master, the compass shows that Sun Long XNZ has stopped moving in the northwest direction. The Azure Dragon Sect needed the help of the compass to track Sun Long XNZ. Furthermore, they could only know the change in direction and not the distance. The Dragon Sect Marquis snorted, his death is coming soon. Yaksha, tell your black-winged bloodbat to move faster. I can't wait to pull out his tendons and peel off his skin. Not long later, the compass showed that Sun Long XNZ was right below them. Why did he stop moving when he saw us? Someone asked in surprise. I'm afraid that his stamina is not enough. As a newbie, having a physique of a few hundred is already not bad. To be able to run so far is already a miracle. The Dragon Sect Marquis's gaze turned gloomy. Go down. The black-winged blood bat swooped down and reached a height of about 100 meters. The high-level cultivators had already jumped down from the sky. The Azure Dragon Sect disciple with the compass had already successfully collected the remnant spirit qi of Sun Long XNZ. However, after a few hundred people looked around for a long time, they did not see a single shadow. Where is he? What's going on? The Dragon Sect Marquis said angrily, How the fuck did you see the compass? After saying that, he snatched the compass from his subordinate's hand. The compass showed a trajectory, and the estimated end was indeed here. Damn it, it's clearly here, why is there no one? At this moment, a subordinate hurriedly ran over. Boss, there's a situation over there, go take a look. Dragon Gate Wu Ho hurriedly followed the man. On a flat and tilted boulder, someone had carved a few words on the surface of the boulder with a sharp weapon. Stop looking for young master. You won't be able to find me. Don't worry. In 5 days you don't need to look for me. I, Lu Chen, will look for you. Prepare 831 coffins. Dragon Sect Wu Ho's eyes were wide open, his eyes were bloodshot. They had been tricked by that brat. Not only that, but that brat had even issued a challenge. 5 days later, he would bathe the Azure Dragon clan in blood. Good, what arrogance! A mere newbie dares to challenge our Azure Dragon school. You're called Lu Chen, right? My Dragon Sect's Wu Ho will definitely tear you to shreds. Wu Ho roared angrily towards the sky. Everyone, continue the search. I don't believe he can run far. Wu Ho was also a ruthless person. Even without Xuanlong Xinzi, he still did not give up on searching for Lu Chen. A few minutes after they left, Lu Chen walked out of the forest. Slightly narrowing his eyes, Lu Chen snorted. You actually didn't fall for it? Originally, he did not plan to return to the Azure Dragon School. It was not worthwhile for him to travel such a long distance back to the Azure Dragon School. After tricking them back, he would do what he wanted to do. In the end, Wu Ho had a rather tenacious spirit, which was out of Lu Chen's expectations. Since that's the case, then I'll go back. Lu Chen laughed sinisterly and changed his route. Lu Chen had already started to go back. Along the way, Lu Chen hurried during the day and slept in the forest at night while cultivating his spirit energy. The Battle Soul's attributes could not be ignored. Right now, the Battle Soul was his main fighting force, and it was also related to Lu Chen's growth limit. Since he could not obtain the attribute extraction scroll in a short period of time, he would first raise the Battle Soul's spirit energy. Little Hairy Ball did not run around anymore. Every day, it sat beside Rhubarb and curiously watched Rhubarb look at the mirror. This might be Rhubarb's method of refining the 9 Revolutions Golden Crow mirror. Squeak, squeak, squeak. After Lu Chen heard it, he could not help but shake his head and said resentfully, Little Hairy Ball, that's Rhubarb's, you can't eat it. Little Hairy Ball could only run to the river to catch fish. On the 4th day, Lu Chen had already accumulated 40 minutes of soul-body fusion. On this day, he returned to the dragon hunting village. Standing in front of the dragon hunting village, Lu Chen looked at the big tree in front of the village and his entire person was stunned. On that big tree, there were more than 100 corpses hanging. Men, women, old and young, from the old to the young, without exception, were all hung on the tree. From time to time, birds and beasts would land on the corpses and gnaw on the corpses. It was a miserable sight. Lu Chen's whole body trembled. He felt that at this moment his heart was about to stop. Those villagers were all cruelly killed. He walked step by step to the bottom of the tree. His eyes were already filled with tears. Although they only met once, it was because of Lu Chen that they died tragically here. Lu Chen did not expect that a dignified immortal sect would be so crazy that they would not even let these innocent villagers go. They didn't do anything. Lu Chen roared, Azure Dragon Sect, are you still human? The trunk of the big tree was already dyed red with blood. Lu Chen saw the old village chief's corpse. He was still holding a letter in his hand. Lu Chen hurriedly jumped up and took the letter down. This letter was actually written to Lu Chen. The handwriting was written with blood and was crooked. It seemed to be secretly written. The text needed to be translated to be understood. Immortal, Dragon Sect's Martial Marquis is killing our villagers one by one. He said that he knows that you are not related to us. However, since their people were killed here, we should be buried together with them. We resisted. You said before that if we were not afraid of death, why would we not dare to change our own fate? But Dragon Sect's Martial Marquis was even happier. He locked us in the iron cage together with him and crazily slaughtered our people. He cut open their stomachs. His methods were cruel and he was unscrupulous. It doesn't matter if I am old, but I pity those children. They are still so young. I am sorry that I can't protect them. Heaven and earth are heartless and treat all living things like straw dogs. We are originally lowly existences. However, just because we are lowly, do we have to be treated so cruelly? Don't tell me that we have no feelings. Immortal, I don't know if you can see this letter. I also know that even if the heavens open their eyes and let you see this blood letter, you will think that my request is too much. But perhaps, you are different from other immortals. And you are our only hope. Even if it is a very small hope, it still exists. I beg you, for the 143 people of our dragon hunting village. Revenge. Lu Chen's hands, which were holding the blood letter, were trembling. At a close distance, he saw that almost all of these people's chests had been cut open. He could imagine how they were tortured to death. When Xiao Chen lowered his head, 2 streams of green mist gushed out from his temples. An abnormally cold voice, with an extremely low tone, said word by word. Your request is not excessive at all. Tomorrow I will help you. Wash Azure Dragon Gate with blood. Chapter 727. The Green Dragon clan should know that the old village chief left this letter for Lu Chen, but they let him keep it in his hands. It seemed like they couldn't wait for Lu Chen to see this letter. Lu Chen closed his eyes, calming his emotions a little. He put away the letter and looked at the 100 over villagers on the tree. He saved every villager from the tree, dug a big hole outside the village, and buried them all. The rain poured down, washing the freshly buried grave. Lu Chen found a piece of wood, and using his fingertip as a blade, he wrote a few words. Tomb of 143 people from the dragon hunting village. Standing in front of such a huge grave, Lu Chen let the rain fall on his body. Little Green, Xiaomin, Rhubarb, and the little furball stood behind him. No one dared to speak. They had never seen their boss so serious. If I didn't do anything back then, maybe only 4 of you would have died. After a long time, Lu Chen said, the guilt in his heart, I'm the one who harmed you. Louis looked at Lu Chen with heartache, stepped forward, and said softly, Boss, you can't say that. If you didn't do anything, they would have just lost a lot of young labor, and their situation would only get worse. Sooner or later, they would have been slaughtered by the Green Dragon clan. Yeah, boss. Actually, death isn't the scariest thing. Dying while being numb is the most painful thing. Xiaomin also said, this time, at least they resisted. Their minds are no longer enslaved. Lu Chen let out a long sigh. Little Green and Xiaomin were right. However, even though he knew this, Lu Chen still felt guilty. Thinking back to these simple villagers who didn't close their doors at night, before he left, they even gave him their treasures. They were all kind people, however, the kind people were wantonly killed. Lu Chen remembered what the king of the wild monsters had said to him. Nobles, generals, and ministers were all equal. Did those lowly people deserve to die? After a long time, Lu Chen raised his head. Let's go. Boss, where are we going? Green Dragon Clan. Lu Chen calmly said these 3 words. Originally, Lu Chen only wanted to use a diversion tactic to trick the Dragon Clan's martial marquis, but now, he really stepped on the road to the Green Dragon Clan. The Green Dragon Clan was still quite a distance away from the dragon hunting village. On the afternoon of the 5th day, Lu Chen's first soul-body fusion time had passed. Lu Chen had accumulated a full soul-body fusion time. Not far ahead stood a verdant mountain peak. It was 700 to 800 meters tall and was the highest peak in the vicinity. Green Dragon Clan's name is Green Dragon Clan's Green Dragon Clan. Lu Chen's Green Dragon Clan's Green Dragon Clan, Green. 6 days ago, the Dragon Gate's martial marquis personally led the sect to chase after Lu Chen. However, they were all empty-handed. After searching for a few more days, they still couldn't find that guy. Thinking about the words Lu Chen had written on the stone, although he did not know if Lu Chen would really come or not, it was still better than searching for him mindlessly. Immediately after, the Dragon Gate Martial Marquis brought his people and returned to the Azure Dragon School at the appointed time. However, after waiting for half a day, he still did not see Lu Chen. The Dragon Sect's Martial Marquis was in a rage at the martial arts stage. Damn it, I was tricked by this brat again. Lu Chen, don't let me catch you. If I catch you, I'll definitely play you to death. Everyone in the sect was also filled with righteous indignation. What method did he use to discover the Xuanlong messenger? This is really infuriating. He actually played our Azure Dragon School in circles by himself. No matter how slow he is, he should be out of the Azure Dragon School's territory. I'm afraid it will be difficult to find him in the future. At this moment, the entire Azure Dragon Mountains suddenly shook violently. Everyone hurriedly looked down the mountain. At this moment, a red-clothed white-haired man was quickly rushing over from the foot of the mountain. Wherever he passed, the lower-level disciples who tried to stop him were all instantly killed without exception. Who is that? There's an ID above his head. It's solipsistic. Could it be Lu Chen's battle soul form? Lu Chen? He really came. Sect leader, he killed quite a few sect disciples. The Dragon Gate's martial marquis eyes were already red. He said coldly, just kill those trash. They don't have any strength. It just so happens that they can consume some of the time when his soul form fusion is in effect. This is great. Lu Chen, you're finally here. I was afraid that you wouldn't come. This is great. I can finally vent my anger. Everyone will wait for him at the martial arts stage. At this time, Lu Qin had already killed more than 200 people. These people were all one-star cultivators. Although being a one-star cultivator didn't mean that his battle soul was weak, from another point of view, people with strong battle souls shouldn't find it too difficult to earn money. They would also obtain more sect contributions from the gangs. Naturally, their star level wouldn't be low. Therefore, in most cases, a person's cultivation star level could reflect their overall strength. Besides, Lu Qin did not care about the other party's background. With the godly demon Limitless Sword in hand, he had transformed into a demonic god. You are immortals? Then I am a demon. Lu Qin angrily roared as he pierced a man's head with his sword. Even if they were in soul-body unification, in front of Lu Qin, these people would not be able to withstand Lu Qin's several hundred million attacks. With Lu Qin's stats, he was able to solo boss-level opponents, such as the 15 billion HP Lunar Netherglow. The Limitless Sword directly shot out of the man's head. Lu Qin used triple door, catching the Limitless Sword with one hand and grabbing with the other. I'm all ears. Before the person beside him could understand what was going on, his body was involuntarily sucked towards Lu Qin. Psionic Space Cannon. Lu Qin fired a cannon at his chest. Flesh and blood flew everywhere. These strong people from level 4 had also gone through many battles. However, even the top level 4 expert, the Holy War Demon Lord, still had the upper hand when Lu Qin was seriously injured a few years ago. Moreover, Lu Qin's strength had increased again, and he had killed the Lunar Netherglow. Even if Lu Qin didn't fully activate his status, killing them would be as easy as flipping his hand. Unfortunately, level 5 didn't display the damage value. They could only see that as long as they were targeted by Lu Qin, they would be killed in one move. Oh my god, what kind of damage is this? It's too scary. Senior Brother Qin told me that his battle soul had 500 million HP. How could he be killed in one move? It's impossible. Is he still a human? Wait, when did he become a 5-star wild cultivator? Didn't they say that he had just arrived at level 5? Is he Lu Qin? It should be. Senior Brother Fong and the others also mentioned in the message before they died that Lu Qin's battle soul was called solipsistic. It's definitely this person. When he fought with the Azure Dragon sect, Lu Qin didn't raise his cultivation level at all. Naturally, he didn't have a star rank. Why hasn't the sect leader sent someone over yet? I understand. He wants us to help him stall for time. He's using our lives to waste this guy's soul-body fusion. At this moment, a white face appeared in front of this person. Lu Qin's voice sounded, "How you treat others, one day, others will treat you the same way. Unfortunately, I don't sympathize with you. A debt of blood must be paid with blood." Psionic Space Cannon. The red figure's white hair flashed, and this person suddenly felt a sharp pain in his chest. When he lowered his head again, his entire chest had been blasted open, and he could even see the scene on the other side. Chapter 728. Their bodies were blasted into nothingness, but they might not die immediately. They would still have to bear the sudden pain in their body and mind. They were cruel to the villagers, but Lu Qin's cruelty did not lose to theirs. The remaining few Azure Dragon sect disciples were so scared that their faces turned pale. In their opinion, they usually killed those commoners, no different from wild boars and dogs. But now, solipsistic was killing immortal cultivators. This was like people seeing chickens being killed. They did not feel anything, but seeing people being killed, the shock was naturally different. At this moment, their minds were already trembling, and their faces were pale. Too scary. Is he still human? This guy, he is so ruthless. Who was he in the past? A great heaven general of the immortal army. No. Even if he is a great heaven general, other than a few races, he is not much stronger than us. This guy is at the 4th layer of heaven. Even if he is a great heaven general, there is only death in front of him. Impossible. How can there be such a powerful demon? Great heaven general? All the races in the 4th layer of heaven had to worship Lu Qin. The current fourth layer of heaven followed the new rules set by Lu Qin. Within 10 minutes, Lu Qin had already killed almost all of these 200 people. In the soul and body fusion state, Lu Qin did not even need to use all his strength to kill these 200 people. Now, there was only one person left standing in front of Lu Qin, trembling. The long sword in his hand was trembling violently. Seeing the white-haired man walking over, the sword in his hand fell to the ground with a clang. Immediately, he knelt in front of Lu Qin. Sorry, no, solipsistic, I am only an ordinary disciple of Azure Dragon Sect. It was not me who wanted to kill you. Please don't kill me. Lu Qin stood in front of this person, his eyes cold. Kill me? You are not worthy. Moreover, I will not destroy your Azure Dragon Sect just because you want to kill me. That person hurriedly said, Then solipsistic, if it wasn't because of this, why did you massacre my Azure Dragon School? Why would I want to kill you? Lu Qin twirled his sword. Do you even need to ask? Because you all deserve to die. Just as he finished speaking, a sword flashed, and that person's head was separated from his body. The head did not die immediately. He could still see the solipsistic walking towards the top of the mountain. Damn it! This was the only reason Lu Qin could give. Green Dragon Mountain, Dragon Stage. At this moment, more than 500 Azure Dragon School disciples were gathered here, and there was no lack of 3, 4, and 5-star cultivators among them. The leader was a man with a stocky build. His height was about the same as Lu Qin's current form. He held a giant axe in his hand that glowed with a faint silver light. Without a doubt, that was an immortal weapon. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the entrance of the dragon stage. The air seemed to be compressed by this tense atmosphere. Not long after, a red-robed, white-haired man slowly walked over from the other side of the dragon stage. He held a black and white dual-colored sword in his right hand. His red eyes were like blood. Facing the 548 Azure Dragon School disciples, he calmly walked over step by step until he stood in the middle of the dragon stage. You are Lu Qin. Dragon Sect Martial Marquis said coldly, You killed my Azure Dragon School's outer sect disciples, and also killed 283 of my first stage disciples. In total, you killed 290 of my disciples. At this point, Dragon Sect Martial Marquis' eyes were filled with killing intent. Lu Qin snorted, So what if it's me? Not only did I kill 290 of your disciples, I also want to flatten your Azure Dragon School. Ha, what a good flatten Azure Dragon School. You are the most arrogant person I have ever seen. Martial Marquis narrowed his eyes. Your battle soul is indeed very strong, but so what? This is the 5th layer of heaven. How long do you have left with your battle soul? Can you fight against so many of us? Lu Qin slightly raised his chin. So when you saw your inner sect disciples being killed by me, but did not dare to come down the mountain to fight, you wanted to waste more of my time? That's right. Lions and tigers use all their strength to hunt rabbits. Those people are weak. I can find them at any time in the future. To be able to sacrifice for the sect is their honor. Lu Qin could not help but sneer. As expected, this is your way of survival. No wonder you treat the surrounding civilians like that. Civilians? Are you talking about those pigs and dogs? You can't be risking your life to barge into my Azure Dragon School because of them, right? Dragon Sect Martial Marquis laughed wildly as if he had heard some shocking news. Ha, I never thought that there would be such a foolish person. For those animals, you don't even care about your own life. Oh, that's right, after you were trapped, I captured all the villagers of Dragon Hunting Village and locked them in cages. You don't know, once I went in, I killed them to my heart's content. Didn't I kill them all in one go? I played with them slowly. I used my hands to cut open their stomachs and pulled out. Lu Qin looked indifferently at Dragon Sect Martial Marquis. Is a person like you worthy of becoming an immortal? The person like me? Are you looking down on me? I'm sorry, it's a person like me who can gather resources to the extreme. Only by being in an invincible position in the 5th heavenly layer. Dragon Sect Martial Marquis said angrily, Lu Qin, you are very strong, but don't think that we have not improved at all after being in the 5th heavenly layer for so long. As long as you are in my Dragon Sect's mountain world, you have to pay your respects to my Dragon Sect Martial Marquis. Do you really think that I only know how to clamor? Lu Chen curled his lips. I really hope that the cultivation technique in your hands is stronger than your mouth. However, the result is the same. Today, I will use the lives of 831 people in your Azure Dragon Mountain to pay for the 143 lives of Dragon Hunting Village. In my eyes, your lives are much more lowly than theirs. Lu Chen compared him to the lowly people of Dragon Hunting Village, and even inferior to them. This caused Dragon Sect Martial Marquis to be furious. Good, I want to see what kind of ability you have. Disciples of Azure Dragon Sect, listen up, Lunar Dragon Trapping Array. The disciples quickly took their positions on the dragon stage and surrounded Lu Chen. Their positions were also very particular. From a bird's eye view, their formation was actually similar to the formation used by the Lunar Netherglow to trap the enemy. Lu Chen, when I obtained the recognition of the Lunar Netherglow, I obtained this powerful formation. This formation is the dragon trapping array used by the Lunar Netherglow. Lu Chen frowned slightly. Lunar Netherglow? You are telling me about the recognition of the Lunar Netherglow? Another 5-star cultivator other than Dragon Sect Martial Marquis shouted at Lu Chen. That's right. It is the Lunar Netherglow. Back then, our sect leader obtained the recognition of the Emperor, which is why he was able to obtain such a treasure and establish the foundation of Azure Dragon Sect. The Emperor's recognition, it sounds very powerful. It seems that you are indeed an expert. Lu Chen nodded thoughtfully. That person shouted coldly, your tone is so sour. How many levels of recognition did you obtain from the Lunar Netherglow? Lu Chen shook his head. Unfortunately, it did not say what level of recognition. At that time, the Lunar Netherglow did indeed mention that it recognized Lu Chen's strength. As for what level of recognition, there was naturally no need to say. You have already killed them, and you still want me to give you what level of recognition? Chapter 729. At this time, the people of Azure Dragon School had already laid down the Lunar Dragon trapping array, surrounding Lu Chen. Speaking of trapping dragons, the Lunar Netherglow's identity was even more honorable than a dragon. This array had some of the attributes of the Lunar Netherglow's true body, such as being unable to use teleportation techniques to break through. Solipsistic, let's see how long you can last in the Lunar Dragon trapping array. Dragon School's Wu Ho said proudly, I can't wait to torture you. Lu Chen sneered, it's just an imitation of the Lunar Netherglow's array, and you really think it's invincible. At that time, Lu Chen was unable to break through the Lunar Netherglow's dragon trapping array because the Lunar Netherglow's body could not be attacked, and at that time, Lu Chen did not put his attention on breaking the array. But now, Azure Dragon School's Lunar Dragon trapping array was different. This was an array formed by Azure Dragon School's disciples standing at the center of the array. The difficulty of breaking the array was not on the same level as the Lunar Netherglow, as long as it was broken one by one. However, a big change in the Lunar Dragon trapping array was that after the Lunar Netherglow trapped the enemy, it would often be followed by the Lunar Star Extermination. Azure Dragon School did not have the Star Extermination, so these people used their own attack methods to make up for it. Attack! Following Wu Ho's order, more than 500 people made their moves at the same time, and countless techniques poured down on Lu Chen. Lu Chen snorted, Heaven's Eye! Opening the Heaven's Eye, Lu Chen quickly entered the spiritual energy subtlety state, using his own spiritual energy to dissolve the opponent's attacks. Hundreds of techniques bombarded Lu Chen's body, but they were unable to get close to him, only exploding beside him. How is this possible? It's spiritual energy subtlety. Impossible, he's just a mere cultivator, how can he have spiritual energy subtlety? Wu Ho's eyes trembled, this guy just came from the 4th layer of heaven, and he's just a wild cultivator, how could he be so skilled in spiritual energy subtlety? Could it be that he learned it at the 4th layer of heaven? Impossible, the 4th layer of heaven only the concept of sword intent has appeared, it's impossible for spiritual energy subtlety to appear. However, no matter how many there were, it was impossible. When so many people saw with their own eyes that hundreds and thousands of skills were thrown over, they couldn't help but believe it. It's said that those who can enter chi refinement are invincible within the fourth firmament. Who the hell is this guy? What should we do? The war soul skill can't hurt him. Wu Ho was also someone who refused to admit defeat. Facing his own side that was in chaos, he suddenly bellowed, "What are you all shouting for? There are so many of us, why should we be afraid of him?" Although it was rare to see spiritual energy entering the microscopic realm, it wasn't invincible. Once the fusion process ends, it will be the time of his death. The most frightening thing about the fifth heavenly layer was that the battle soul would run out of time. Not only did Wu Ho instill this tactic into all the disciples of the sect, but when he used it himself, he also displayed it to the extreme. Although Wu Ho was fierce and brutal, he was not stupid at all. Taking advantage of the fact that the disciples were temporarily delaying Lu Qin, he suddenly had a flash of inspiration. He just came to the fifth heavenly layer and didn't even leave the boundary of our Azure Dragon School, so his spiritual energy subtlety must have been learned in the fourth heavenly layer. Since that's the case, what he has grasped is not the real spiritual energy subtlety, but the War Soul World's spiritual energy subtlety. The War Soul World's spiritual energy subtlety, which means he can only sense the War Soul skill's spiritual energy. Thinking of this, Wu Ho suddenly used his giant axe to sweep out a sword chi, directly attacking Lu Qin. Previously, the solipsistic sword chi was still resisting other skills with ease, but he actually relied on dodging to avoid his sword chi. This move of his was not a killing move, but a casual move. The purpose was to test Lu Qin's actual situation, and as a result, he really found out Lu Qin's weakness. Lu Qin's spiritual energy subtlety was temporarily unable to take effect on the main body. It had to be said that Wu Ho was also a person who had experienced hundreds of battles. In the first moment, he thought of a way to deal with spiritual energy subtlety. Spiritual energy subtlety was not a cultivation technique, nor was it an equipment. It was just a kind of realm. After entering this realm, the user could carefully perceive the flow of spiritual energy and control the movement of spiritual energy in their body. In actual combat, they could use this method to use their own spiritual energy to counteract external skills. Just like sword intent or ultimate sword intent, after entering this realm, the speed of the sword would greatly increase, and the control would be firmer, and the sword would follow the heart. However, if Lu Qin learned spiritual energy subtlety in the fourth celestial layer, then its biggest flaw was that the fourth celestial layer was the process of the player's war soul cultivation, and the skills learned in there were also used to deal with the war soul. Previously, Xian Yuanzi had also said that spiritual energy subtlety was an existence that subverted the fourth celestial layer, and it did not include the fifth celestial layer. It seemed that this was where the problem lay. As the person involved, Lu Qin was surprised to avoid a normal sword chi among the many attacks. He had originally intended to counterattack, but the sword chi suddenly swept over, causing his movements to slow down by half a beat. He actually did not perceive the sword chi's flow of spiritual energy. Lu Qin was somewhat flabbergasted. Not far away, Wu Ho's voice caused Lu Qin to awaken from his shock. Azure Dragon Clan disciples, listen to my orders, all 1- and 2-star disciples, withdraw from the soul-body fusion state, and use physical attacks to exhaust the solipsistic. All the low-level disciples had faces of astonishment. Using physical bodies to fight the war soul? Wasn't that just seeking death? What are you still standing there for? The Azure Dragon Clan has nurtured you for so long, training soldiers for 1,000 days to use them in a single moment. Today is the day you all fight for the Azure Dragon Clan. The solipsistic subtlety is not the real spiritual energy subtlety. It can only deal with the war soul skills, and is unable to resolve physical attacks. There are so many of us. If each of us were to use a sword, he would not be able to dodge. Moreover, there is the protection of the lunar dragon trapping array. Quickly withdraw from the soul-body fusion state. The duration of the soul-body fusion state was originally short, and regardless of whether it accumulated for 10 minutes or an hour, it had to be used in one go. Withdrawing from the state in the middle meant that the soul-body fusion state had to start from zero. At this moment, all the participating Azure Dragon Clan disciples were in the soul-body fusion state. Only the 2 5-star cultivators in the clan had not entered the soul-body fusion state. When they had exhausted enough of Lu Chen's time, when the time came for them to go on stage, victory would be in their grasp. Now that the sect leader had given the order, the disciples did not dare to disobey, and those 1-star and 2-star disciples all withdrew from the soul-body fusion state. Lu Chen immediately frowned. Withdraw from the soul-body fusion state? Wu Ho, you don't care about the life and death of the sect's disciples, and let them use their lives as the price to exhaust me, while you only know how to hide behind. You really don't deserve to be the sect leader. You Azure Dragon Clan people, just because someone called you immortal, you really think you are superior? Looking at it now, you are just dogs raised by that guy. You are even inferior to those villagers who dare to resist. 3 lives reincarnation. Lu Chen immediately used 3 lives reincarnation, transforming the war soul's rebirth into an attack and attribute increase. However, telling you all this now is useless. Today, no one in your Azure Dragon Clan can survive. Lu Chen shouted in a low voice. 7 stars chasing the moon. Many people had already withdrawn from the soul-body fusion state, and Lu Chen was unable to capture the changes in their techniques. On the other hand, there were still the 3-star and above advanced disciples who were in the war soul fusion state. Their current mission was to protect the lower-level disciples, so that they would not die too quickly. He still has 20 minutes of soul-body fusion state. No matter what, you have to stop him. Wu Ho shouted hysterically from behind the Lunar Dragon Trapping Array. The Lunar Dragon Trapping Array, and more than 500 disciples blocking in front, blocking the solipsistic for 20 minutes should not be a problem. At the very least, he and the vice sect leader would work together to exhaust him for a few minutes, and that should be enough. This time, the solipsistic would definitely die. Chapter 730. To be able to dominate a region with the Lunar Dragon Trapping Formation, the Lunar Dragon Trapping Formation was indeed extraordinary. These people could quickly teleport to any point within the Lunar Dragon Trapping Formation. Furthermore, the formation had a warning effect similar to a technique. Every time Lu Chen raised his hand and prepared to kill someone, the opponent would be able to predict it in advance and dodge to another formation point. Solipsistic, weren't you very arrogant just now? Didn't you want to kill all of us? What happened now? Why can't you touch a single person? Dragon Trapping Formation. This can even trap a dragon. Who do you think you are, to think you can break my dragon trapping formation? Dream on. Yes, just like that. Don't fight him head-on. Rely on the dragon trapping formation to stall for time. Wu Ho shouted excitedly. As time passed, the situation became more and more advantageous for him. Lu Chen also did not expect that this Wu Ho was not only savage, but also extremely wretched. He was a typical coward. Hallmasters, let's use the Heaven's Might Divine Omen combined technique. He may not be able to block the Heaven's Might attack. A few 4-star cultivators gathered power at the same time. Suddenly, the clouds above Lu Chen's head seemed to have been pierced by something. A huge white light pillar with a diameter of 20 to 30 meters poured down from the sky. Lu Chen frowned. Combined Heaven's Might attack? To be able to come to the 5th layer of heaven, they must have some ability. The strength of this attack seemed to be quite terrifying. There were many types of Heaven's Might attacks. Everyone's Heaven's Might was different. From the looks of it, this Heaven's Might Divine Omen was a rarely seen combined technique. This was Lu Chen's first time encountering it. The opponent's Heaven's Might attack contained surging spirit energy. Since there was spirit energy movement, Lu Chen still had the confidence to deal with the combined Heaven's Might technique of a few 4-star cultivators. But this Heaven's Might Divine Omen's Heaven's Might was astonishing. In a short period of time, it might even be above star extermination. Lu Chen needed to focus on dealing with it. The white light smashed down like a substance. Lu Chen quickly adjusted his state and used spirit energy to resist the attack. No way, he can block the combined Heaven's Might attack? What the hell is this guy? Don't panic, at least it's much more difficult for him to block this attack compared to before. Everyone else, continue to attack. The war spirit will use offense as a form of defense. Everyone else, pay attention to evading. As long as he attacks any point, immediately use the dragon trapping array's displacement to dodge. This guy's attack damage is too terrifying. We can't afford to be careless. Remember, our mission is to stall Solipsistic. He has less than 20 minutes left. The more Lu Chen fought, the angrier he got. In the past battles, no matter how strong or weak the opponent was, the two sides would exchange blows head-on and head-on, exchanging blows without restraint. However, the Azure Dragon School's people were like a ball of cotton. They couldn't feel anything even if they used all their strength. 500 people against me, and they actually used such a despicable method. The Azure Dragon School really lives up to its reputation. Lu Chen said angrily. Despicable? Only the living had the right to speak. No one would listen to the nonsense of a dead person. Solipsistic, do you really think it's so easy to barge into a sect? My Azure Dragon School has been developing for 20 years. Even a strong dragon cannot suppress a snake in its own territory. You want to destroy my Azure Dragon School as soon as you arrive at the 5th layer of heaven? Dream on. Today, I will make you unable to return. Wu Ho hooted. The man beside him suddenly said to Wu Ho, Sect leader, this solipsistic is definitely a peak existence in the 4th heaven. However, we have been in the 5th heaven for so many years. In the 5th heaven, the heaven's might techniques can combine with each other to form a new combined technique. This is something that the 4th heaven does not have. Just now, the 8 Hall Masters' combined heaven's might technique seemed to have a good effect. Wu Ho nodded his head. He had already seen the might of the heaven's might divine omen. The 8 Hall Masters who were not too strong were actually able to combine their heaven's might technique to create such a terrifying might within 20 seconds. It could be seen that the combined heaven's might technique was another huge upgrade between the 5th heaven and the low-level heaven domain. To fight this newcomer, they naturally had to use their advantage to the maximum. The vice sect leader continued, Our soul-body fusion is sufficient for now. Why don't we deal with this guy together? As long as we wait for his soul-body fusion to end, he will be at our mercy. Wu Ho glanced at Lu Chen in the middle of the formation and smiled, That's good too. I can't wait any longer. Let's go, let's go. The two 5-star cultivators entered the soul-body fusion state at the same time and quickly joined the lunar nether fluorescence formation. Sect leader and second leader are here. That's great. Looks like this time our victory is in our grasp. Everyone work harder. Guard the dragon trapping formation well. As long as the dragon trapping formation is here, the solipsistic is like a turtle in a jar. Although the Azure Dragon Sect's people were unable to harm Lu Chen, what gave Lu Chen a headache was the lunar trapping formation's early warning and position shifting effects. This formation was a simulation of the lunar nether fluorescence dragon trapping formation's effects. However, the Azure Dragon Sect's disciples at the various points of the formation were the lunar nether fluorescence's bodies. They did not have the nihility body, but the dragon trapping formation cleverly used the early warning and position shifting effects to imitate the nihility body's effects to the greatest extent. Adding on the fact that this group of people persisted in following Wu Ho's tactics, Lu Chen had nowhere to vent his anger. After persevering for 10 minutes, Lu Chen's soul-body fusion state was only left with 9 minutes. Haha, solipsistic Lu Chen, are you very depressed? You're very strong, right? But you still have to die in our hands. Come, take revenge for those pigs and dogs. Where's your heroism from the beginning? You're already prepared to die. Wait until the soul-body fusion state ends. I'll let you know what it means to live a life worse than death. Lu Chen's eyes widened in anger, but he also reminded himself to remain calm. 9 minutes is still enough. If I can break the lunar nether fluorescence's killing technique, then I can break theirs. After repeated observation, Lu Chen had already discovered that the dragon trapping formation's interior seemed to have a kind of spiritual energy refinement function. As long as he prepared to attack, The formation would be able to lock onto his target and send out an early warning to that person. Under the early warning, that person would naturally quickly teleport, directly causing Lu Chen to lose his target. This way, some of the sure-hit skills would be unable to take effect. The dragon trapping formation had a lot of effective positions. Even if a few group attacks caused dozens of people to change their positions at the same time, after they changed their positions, they could still maintain the formation's normal operation. So, to break this formation, I must clearly see the entire formation. Thinking of this, Lu Chen suddenly grew a pair of wings on his back, wanting to quickly escape towards the sky. After fusing with the encounter victory inherent skill, Lu Chen's flying speed increased sharply, and he even had the ability to accelerate in the air. Run towards the sky? There's no way out in the dragon trapping formation. Continue to lock onto him with your skills, don't give him any chance to breathe. As expected, Lu Chen flew to a height of 300 meters and was unable to continue flying upwards. He should be trapped in the dragon trapping formation. But at this height, Lu Chen could see the situation of the Azure Dragon School's formation. Lu Chen took out the spatial spiritual energy cannon and shouted, "Fierce tiger descends the mountain. Fire suppression." Chapter 731. 50 powerful spiritual energy cannons fell from the sky and bombarded the entire stage. As the spiritual energy cannons had a certain range of attack, under 50 consecutive shots, it was already comparable to an area of effect skill. Facing such a terrifying aerial bombardment, the Azure Dragon School's disciples opened their eyes wide in fear. Is this still a skill released by a single person? Don't talk nonsense, dodge. Suppressive fire. The skill's effect was like its name, directly suppressing the opponent's attack, forcing them to dodge first. A large area of Azure Dragon School's disciples quickly changed their positions with the help of the Lunar Dragon Trapping Array. Lu Chen frowned. This time, he had a rough understanding of the Lunar Dragon Trapping Array's complete array. Other than the center of the Dragon Trapping Array, there were a large number of array eyes on the periphery, like a star disk, faintly forming the complete form of the lunar nether glow. The Dragon Trapping Array was indeed an array that imitated the lunar nether glow skill. Because there were a large number of empty positions, Lu Chen was unable to predict which direction they would be teleported to, so naturally, he was unable to hit the target. Now, it seemed that it was a waste of time to lock onto each individual's movement pattern. Therefore, I must attack the entire Dragon Trapping Array, covering all possible teleportation points. Lu Chen took a deep breath. Not bad, this Dragon Trapping Array is really interesting. It's a pity that you met me. Spiritual Energy Storm. Suppressive Fire. Unlimited Attack. After grasping the method to break the array, Lu Chen finally burst out with the terrifying power of a war soul. 50 spiritual energy cannons bombarded the ground indiscriminately. Everyone had just dodged, but the next round of attacks had already arrived. The spiritual energy cannons bombarded the Lunar Dragon Trapping Array indiscriminately. Facing the earth-shattering spiritual energy cannons, Dragon School's Martial Marquis eyes were wide open. His face was full of disbelief. Impossible. This kind of attack can't be used infinitely. Even if there are magic treasures to reduce cooldown, it's impossible. His spiritual energy can't keep up. The biggest weakness of unlimited skills was the exhaustion of spiritual energy, but Lu Chen had the pseudo-divine equipment Nuken Bead, which made up for the biggest weakness of unlimited skills. In the past, Lu Chen couldn't seamlessly connect to the Spirit Force storm in battle. However, in the process of comprehending Spirit Force, he had to constantly replenish his Spirit Core. This also trained Lu Chen's ability to connect to the Spirit Force storm in battle. With the unlimited supply of spiritual energy and the infinite space spiritual energy cannon, Lu Chen had transformed into the King of Destruction. With his own strength, he launched a fierce attack on the entire Lunar Dragon Trapping formation. Under such a ferocious attack, the Azure Dragon School disciples could no longer keep up with Lu Chen's speed. Some of them had already been instantly killed. What kind of spiritual energy cannon is this? What's the damage? Senior brother Zhang was killed in one shot even with soul body as one? Oh my god, this is the end of the world. The dragon trapping formation's warning system has gone crazy. Every point is his target. Why is there such a terrifying monster? Is this guy even human? Poi attack. No cooldown, unlimited usage, and even a single shot could deal such high damage. Who could bear this? Boom boom boom. The rumbling sounds had already merged into one, and there was no gap between them. Under the indiscriminate bombardment, the entire Azure Dragon Mountain was sent flying, and the flames lit up the sky. In the distance, a group of immortal cultivators looked in the direction of Azure Dragon Mountain and looked at each other. Senior brother, that seems to be the direction of Azure Dragon Mountain. What happened there? Why is there such a terrifying celestial phenomenon? That doesn't seem to be a celestial phenomenon. A man in white frowned. The spiritual energy over there is chaotic. There should be someone fighting over there. Fighting? A beautiful woman's face was full of suspicion. That's impossible. How many people are fighting to cause such a big commotion? Is it a decisive battle between level 4 factions? Yeah, could it be a high-star powerhouse fighting over there? But I heard that the Azure Dragon School has a very powerful formation. Even a high-star powerhouse wouldn't dare to provoke them easily. The senior brother shook his head. I don't know what happened over there. Let's go and take a look. On Azure Dragon Mountain, more and more Azure Dragon disciples fell under Lu Chen's indiscriminate attacks. No matter if it was soul-body fusion or in their original state, as long as they were hit by the spiritual energy cannon, there was only one outcome, and that was instant death. One by one, their battle souls were annihilated. One by one, their corpses fell into a pool of blood. The entire dragon stage had become unrecognizable. Even the mountain top was much shorter. After a few minutes of continuous attacks, Lu Chen finally stopped. The dragon stage was already in a mess. Corpses were everywhere, and broken limbs were everywhere. The lunar dragon trapping array was already destroyed by Lu Chen at an unknown time. With a cold snort, Lu Chen dived down and landed on the ground again. Looking at the hundreds of corpses around him, Lu Chen's eyes showed no mercy. These so-called immortals in Lu Chen's eyes were not worth pitying. But where was Wu Ho's corpse? Lu Chen looked back and forth, but did not see Wu Ho from Dragon Sect. Ran away? Impossible. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes. Although he attacked indiscriminately, if someone escaped from Azure Dragon Mountain, he would definitely discover it. At this moment, Lu Chen's soul-body fusion had ended. Although he was still in his white-haired state, his attributes had already returned to normal. Not good, I've run out of time. Heaven's Eye. Heaven's Eye could allow Lu Chen to enter the subtle state of spirit energy. It could also see through disguises and even see things that normal people could not. However, Heaven's Eye could not see through things. Everything had spirit energy, not to mention these people who had just died. Their bodies were also emitting spirit energy. Lu Chen looked around and did not find any suspicious changes in spirit energy. He frowned. Don't tell me I still have to spend time chasing after Wu Ho from Dragon Sect. At this moment, a few corpses not far away suddenly moved. Lu Chen immediately opened his eyes wide and looked in that direction. Someone pushed the corpses away from below and walked out. Following that, the same thing happened in other places. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes. These guys actually used other people's corpses as a cover to escape the explosion and also avoided Lu Chen's Heaven's Eye detection. Moreover, they still carried out their wretched tactics until the end. Only when Lu Chen's soul-body fusion had completely disappeared did they appear. Those who could survive naturally had some strength. There were a total of 10 people. 8 Hall Masters were 4-star cultivators, 2 were 5-star cultivators. 1 was the vice leader and the last person was Wu Ho from Dragon Sect. Solipsistic method, you actually broke the lunar dragon trapping array. I admit that we have underestimated you. You are indeed very strong. A Hall Master gritted his teeth and said, but then he changed the topic, you actually destroyed our Azure Dragon Sect's 20 years of foundation. But so what? Your soul-body fusion has already been used up, And we still have time. No matter how strong you are, you will still die in our hands in the end. Although these people were lucky to survive, it seemed that their battle souls and physical bodies had suffered different degrees of damage. Even so, with their battle souls in this state, they were still much stronger than Lu Qin in his original state. The people on the opposite side were closing in on him. Chapter 732. Lu Qin rubbed his nose and shook his head. Sigh, I was still too careless. I didn't grasp the time well and my experience is still too little. In reality, Lu Qin's 1 hour was more than enough for a normal fight. Who knew that these guys from the Azure Dragon sect would be so wretched with more than 800 people? Adding on a very strong lunar dragon trapping array, it really brought some trouble to Lu Qin. Haha, solipsistic, it's too late to regret now. Even if we are injured, we are still not something you can handle. Are you ready? Next is the real show. However, Lu Qin didn't know when a small white field mouse appeared in his hand, and it was squeaking at Lu Qin nonstop. The little furball seemed to be particularly restless as it kept asking to fight. Lu Qin thought for a while, actually, I might not be unable to beat them. Squeak, squeak, squeak. It is a bit dangerous, but... Forget it, since you want to fight so much, then I'll leave the rest to you. You should also be careful, don't be careless, okay? Squeak, squeak, squeak. So confident? Lu Qin was rather surprised. All right, I'll leave it to you. But I still have a request, the one who looks the strongest. Lu Qin's eyes stared at Dragon Sex Wu Ho and fiercely said, don't let him die too quickly. The little furball naturally understood Lu Qin's meaning. Boss wanted it to properly entertain this VIP. Dragon Sex Wu Ho was the beast of the dragon hunting village. This enmity must be avenged, so it could not be easily let die. Wu Ho and the rest looked at Lu Qin in astonishment. Although this guy was blaming himself for using up his soul-body fusion too early, there was not a trace of panic on his face. On the contrary, this guy had a leisurely look and was full of confidence. His conversation with the inconspicuous mouse made everyone even more puzzled. In the 5th layer of heaven, Beast Tamer and Puppet Master's battle pets could only fight when their soul-body fusion was used. But Solipsistic actually wanted that mouse to deal with them? Haha, Solipsistic, I think you're crazy. How dare you place your hopes on such a trashy pet? It's just a field mouse. Not to mention my divine beast battle pet, even the lowest level wild monster battle pet is much stronger than it. I think I just heard the funniest joke I've heard this year. Letting a white mouse fight us? These creatures can only be used as food in Jyotian. Lu Qin looked up at these people. They didn't seem to know what they were about to face. You're saying it's trash of trash? They can only be used as ingredients in Jyotian? Lu Qin had never heard of this before. Someone said that little furball was trash among trash, and they even said that they wanted to use it as an ingredient? Lu Qin couldn't help but look at the little furball. No one was clearer than Lu Qin about the strength of a divine beast battle pet. To put it bluntly, little furball's strength could crush any ultimate divine beast. Perhaps when the beast deity fused, he didn't know if it would be qualified to compete with him. As for ingredients, that was even more ridiculous. It was completely wrong. Up until now, if it weren't for Lu Qin controlling little furball, who knew what else little furball would let go of except for dead things? It was even greedy for rhubarb's treasures. It was no wonder that every time Lu Qin let little furball go out alone, he had to warn it what it couldn't eat. Little guy, it's time to prove your strength. Don't forget what I said just now. This time, you can do whatever you want, Lu Qin said lightly. Go. After saying that, Lu Qin gently put little furball on the ground, took a few steps back, and simply sat there cross-legged to watch the show. The few figures had already arrived at the foot of Green Dragon Mountain. As soon as they arrived at the mountain gate, the 5-man team was shocked by the scene in front of them. On the mountain road of Green Dragon Gate, there were mutilated corpses everywhere. These corpses died miserably, and almost none of them were intact. The mountain road was already dyed red with blood, and a strong smell of blood permeated the air. Heavens! Who could be so cruel? Not a single one of them was killed in a normal way. Torture. And his strength is extremely terrifying. More than 200 people, and no one could stop him. Senior Marshal Brother, who did this to you? What kind of deep hatred does he have for Green Dragon Gate to be so vicious? The white-robed man frowned and shook his head. I'm not sure either. The commotion on the mountain has already died down. I don't know if their battle is over. Let's go. We'll go up carefully. Don't be discovered. The person who did this is very likely a demon who kills without batting an eye. We have to be careful. With Senior Brother here, we don't have to be afraid of demons. Junior Sister said. Besides, who would dare to provoke our spirit immortal sect? Junior Sister, you've had too little experience in the outside world. There's always someone better than you. Not everyone will be afraid of the spirit immortal sect. Junior Brother Tion, activate the Sealing Talisman Array and Invisibility Talisman Array. Let's go up and take a look. Yes, Senior Brother. A young man casually waved his hand, and 2 talisman papers shot out from his sleeve, covering the heads of the 5 people. A moment later, the talisman papers disappeared, and the 5 people who had been there just a moment ago were now invisible. Even the spiritual chi fluctuations had been reduced to the lowest level, almost similar to the spiritual chi emitted by some trees and plants. Let's go up and take a look. The 5 of them quickly rushed to the top of the mountain. When they reached the top of the mountain, they were shocked to find that the scene here was even more horrifying than at the foot of the mountain. More than half of the surrounding buildings had collapsed. In a relatively empty area, corpses were everywhere. Hundreds of people had died tragically on the spot. At this moment, a strange battle was taking place here. A huge rat was madly gnawing on the shoulder of a 5-star cultivator. With one bite, a large piece of flesh was torn off that guy's shoulder. The arm was still there, but half of the shoulder was gone. That guy's right arm seemed to be hanging in the air, but not quite. He let out a heart-wrenching scream. What are you? Why do you still have soul-body fusion? This guy was really too horrifying. Its defense was shockingly high, and the key was that kind of attack method. It could directly attack the main body in the soul-body fusion state. The flesh that the guy bit off was the main body's injury. What was even more horrifying was its fanaticism for food. It seemed that nothing could stop it from eating. Sometimes, even if it was at the risk of being attacked, it would still bite off a part of your body. After being bitten, that guy could still recover his HP crazily. High imitation, high HP, high recovery, terrifying attack method. In just a few minutes, that guy had already killed 8 Hall Masters. The corpses of the 8 Hall Masters were especially horrifying. Only a human rod was left, and even if it was a human rod, it was already an incomplete human rod. Although Lu Chen only let Little Hairy Ball entertain Wu Ho, Little Hairy Ball was very happy to use this strategy on all the other opponents. Vice Sect Leader finally followed in the footsteps of the 8 Hall Masters. Now, Little Hairy Ball only had Dragon Gate Wu Ho as his opponent. Suddenly, the person sitting behind Little Hairy Ball who was resting by the side watching the battle opened his mouth. Lu Chen looked at Dragon Gate Wu Ho playfully. Hey, do you still think that it is the trash of trash, an ingredient in other people's mouths? Dragon Gate Wu Ho's face was deathly pale. He did not dare to look Little Hairy Ball in the eye. It is heaven-swallowing rat. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.